Chapter 202. Brother Chin, please teach me. On the phone, Li Mubai's exaggerated voice came out, as if something extraordinary had happened. Lu Chen, who had just walked out of the gate of Jingyin, was confused. What are you talking about? Teach you what? Does this guy want to learn music seriously? Then Lu Chen really doesn't have much to teach him. He himself is now coming to Jingyin to listen to lectures to recharge. Today is Lu Chen's first day in Jingyin to listen to lectures. Although it has been more than a month since the beginning of the new semester, freshmen start classes today. Because according to the state regulations, freshmen are required to undergo a month of military training after enrollment, and then classes officially start after the 7-day National Day holiday. The further Lu Chen goes on the road of music, the more he feels his own shortcomings. Although he has the memory of 3 lives, and there is no problem with experience, the accumulation of theoretical knowledge is relatively small, and the arrangement of works has to be completed by others. Lu Chen came to Jingyin to listen to lectures and learn, mainly to make up for this shortcomings. He has the conditions in this regard. Without the constraints of an agency, he doesn't need to run notices to brush his face and make his presence known, so he can arrange his time more freely. The most important thing is that Lu Chen knows Gao Yu, a professor in the Department of Composition of Jingyin, and this famous teacher can guide him. Moreover, the quality of the students in Jingyin is very good. When Lu Chen came to listen to the lecture before, he was recognized. No one gathered around or asked for photos and autographs, so he was very comfortable. Jingyin's deep foundation is worthy of the name of the 3 major music academies. If Li Mubai really wants to learn music, it's not bad to pull him over to listen to lectures together. Li Mubai replied with a smile, "Teach me how to tame that little witch, Qin Qian. Last night, she cried for half the night after she got home. Originally, sister-in-law wanted to find you to question you, but she stopped her. Both her eyes are swollen like walnuts. I've known her for so long, but I've never seen her cry like this, ha." Third young Master Li was simply gloating. He didn't have the slightest sympathy, but was extremely happy. So that's what happened. Lu Chen understood his feelings very well. Although they were relatives, Li Mubai had suffered a lot at Qin Qian's hands. He was gnashing his teeth when talking about it. However, he was afraid of his big brother Li Murong, who was like a tiger, and respected Su Daiwan very much. He could only bear it when he suffered losses. Now that Lu Chen had helped him vent his anger, he was naturally in a good mood. And it was Li Mubai who revealed the details of Qin Qian to Lu Chen. Otherwise, how could Lu Chen expose her disguise? He would have to suffer a loss like Li Mubai. Lu Chen smiled and said, "Actually, it's nothing much. I just want her to realize her mistake." Li Mubai was suspicious. "Really? That's it? This chick is not to be trifled with. She's very powerful." He had suffered a lot of losses. The psychological shadow of Qin Qian was very big. Lu Chen said, "No matter how powerful she is, she won't look for me again, but you have to be careful of her revenge." Li Mubai was shocked. "Brother Qin, you didn't sell me out, did you?" Lu Chen sighed and said, "Why would I sell you out? But if she's really powerful, she should be able to guess that I saw through her pretending to be a lady yesterday. She will naturally look for whoever sold her out." Li Mubai directly knelt down. "Brother Qin, don't say anything. I'll book a ticket now." Lu Chen laughed. After talking with Li Mubai for a while, he ended the call. Just as he was about to walk to the parking space, Lu Chen suddenly felt that someone was watching him and instinctively turned his head to look. He saw a woman in a white dress standing 10 meters away, and their eyes happened to meet. She had bright eyes and white teeth. Her appearance was stunning. Her eyes were as bright as the morning stars, and she had an otherworldly temperament. There were many beautiful women in Jingyin, but none of them could compare with her. The eyes cast around her were enough to show her popularity and charm. Qing. Lu Chen recognized her identity. It was Qing, who he had met once in Yuming Tea Garden. Qing was a student of Jingyin and studied folk music. He nodded at the other party. Among all the girls that Lu Chen knew, Qing was the most outstanding in both appearance and temperament. Her family background should also be very good. She could be called a real goddess. But it was precisely because of this that Lu Chen didn't have much feeling for her. He only appreciated her and didn't pursue her. It wasn't that Lu Chen didn't have self-confidence or inferiority complex, but in his opinion, a girl like Qing might be good as a friend or confidant. If she was a girlfriend or wife, that would shorten one's life. And there were too many beautiful things in the world, some of which were better seen from a distance. But what Lu Chen didn't expect was that he didn't want to go over and say hello. Instead, Qing hesitated for a moment and took the initiative to walk towards Lu Chen. Senior Lu Chen was a little surprised. "Hello, Junior Qing." Qing looked indifferent and asked, "Excuse me, did you drive here by yourself?" Lu Chen nodded. "Do you want to go home? I'll take you back." Last time, it was Qing who brought him to Jingyin to apply for a lecture permit. If the other party needed help, he was naturally duty-bound. Qing said, "Then I'll have to trouble you. I have a piano to take back to the tea garden." Lu Chen said with a smile, "It's no trouble." Lu Chen noticed that Qing was carrying a long piano case in her hand. He was a little strange. Why didn't Qing drive by herself? Why did she ask him for help? As long as she asked, he believed that a lot of boys would be willing to serve her, right? Of course, although he was curious, Lu Chen wouldn't take the initiative to ask. After all, this was the other party's privacy. At this time, a thin boy walked quickly towards the two of them, holding a bunch of flowers in his hand. He obviously summoned up his courage, stared at Qing with burning eyes, presented her with roses with both hands, and said loudly, "Junior Qing, I like you." The boy had been waiting for Qing outside the campus for a long time. He was still hesitating until he saw Qing talking to Lu Chen and about to leave. He became anxious and desperately chased after her to confess to the latter. Qing didn't take his flowers. She took a step back and said faintly, "Sorry, I don't like you." She said to Lu Chen, "Let's go." Lu Chen suddenly came to his senses. It turned out that Qing was looking for a ride because she noticed the boy's existence and was afraid of being entangled by the other party. There were already many people around pointing and watching. The boy's face turned red, but his expression showed that he didn't want to give up easily. Lu Chen took the piano case from Qing's hand and smiled at the other party. "I'm really sorry, brother. It's not that I don't want to help you, but you're really not likable." The boy wilted like a frosted eggplant. In terms of height and appearance, he was much worse than Lu Chen. He felt very powerless. With Qing, Lu Chen walked to the place where he parked his car. He secretly sighed in his heart that a girl like Qing's daily life was very troublesome. Unless she hid at home and didn't go out, she always had to face all kinds of pursuits and even harassment. As Lu Chen was thinking, a silver-white Porsche sports car quietly drove over and steadily stopped in front of the two of them, blocking the way. The Golden Shield logo on the front of the car was shining in the light of the setting sun. "Beauty." The window slid down silently, and the person sitting in the driver's seat poked his head out, whistled frivolously at Qing, and said, "Come and sit in my car. It's too beneath your identity and beauty to sit in his broken car." Seeing the Porsche blocking the road, Lu Chen's expression instantly became very strange. But Qing not only didn't get angry, but also blossomed with a very moving smile, "Sister Mushy." The person who picked up Qing was Li Mushy. The Porsche F17 she was driving was originally Li Mubai's, and Lu Chen had sat in it several times. Lu Chen didn't expect Li Mushi to appear here, and to know Qin Qing. Li Mushi asked with a smile, "Girl, what's the matter with you two?" Qin Qing's pretty face blushed and explained, "Nothing, I just asked this senior to help me." "This senior?" Li Mushi said with a smile, "Your senior is my immediate boss, the chairman of my company." "Ah." Qin Qing was taken aback and looked at Lu Chen with unbelievable eyes. Qin Qing knew that Lu Chen was a singer-artist, and he was also a little famous, but she didn't expect that Lu Chen actually had such a relationship with Li Mushi, which really surprised her. Qin Qing was very clear about the latter's identity. Li Mushi said, "I'm here to find him. You can take my car together. I'll take you back first." Qin Qing quickly calmed down and said with a smile, "Thank you, Sister Mushi." She opened the door and sat in the passenger seat. Li Mushi waved her hand and said, "We sisters have nothing to thank, but you have to be careful of this guy. He's very fickle. Don't be deceived by him." Lu Chen, who had just sat in the back seat, heard the other party's slander and said with a wry smile, "Sister Mushi, how can I be fickle? He was really wronged. Since he met and fell in love with Wang Ying in college, he has not taken the initiative to provoke other girls. Until now, although he has met several very good girls, he has not pursued any of them. Lake Yizidong, Mu Xiaochu, and even Chen Fei, Because Lu Chen's current thoughts are basically on his own career. His career has not been successful, and his family's debts have not been paid off. He will not consider personal emotional problems for the time being. Li Mushi turned her head and looked at him. Her eyes seemed to say, "This old lady has seen through you long ago." Lu Chen was speechless. Qin Qing pursed her lips and said with a smile, "I know, I will be careful." She obviously has a good relationship with Li Mushi, talking and laughing, without the previous indifference and coldness. Driving the four-door sports car that originally belonged to Li Mubai, Li Mushi first sent Qin Qing back to Yumming Tea Garden. Then she took Lu Chen to a private club. Chapter 203. The capital has the most high-end clubs and private clubs in the country. Some high-end clubs have strict rules and extremely expensive membership fees, forming a special small circle. When Lu Chen worked at Forget Worries Bar, he heard a lot of rumors about clubs and clubs, some of which were quite bizarre. In the eyes of ordinary people, these places were extremely mysterious. The private club that Li Mushi brought Lu Chen to was called Borui Club. It was located near the CBD of the Second Ring Road, near the park and quiet. The external building was made of steel frames and glass, and the style was very modern. Before it was dark, the parking lot outside the Borui Club was already full of all kinds of luxury cars. The number was so large that it could hold a luxury car exhibition. When Lu Chen got out of the car, he saw several security personnel in black uniforms, sunglasses and headphones. Li Mushi was obviously a regular here. She walked straight in with Lu Chen without showing any card. The security personnel and waiters saluted respectfully when they saw them. It had to be said that this kind of dignitary style made people sigh. Lu Chen was a little curious, but not envious. Everyone had their own fate, and he also had his pride. Unexpectedly, the decor of the club was not magnificent. Instead, it presented a deep and reserved design style, without the slightest trace of the nouveau riche, so it looked very special. Li Mushi said to Lu Chen, "Let's talk about things first, and then eat, okay?" Although it was an inquiry, her tone was strong and decisive. Lu Chen nodded calmly and said, "The guest follows the host." "I'll listen to you, Sister Mushi." Li Mushi glanced at him and said with a smile, "If you really listen to me, that would be good." She said it a bit ambiguously. Lu Chen smiled faintly, but there was a trace of vigilance in his heart. She told him directly that the eldest daughter of the Li family brought him here deliberately today. "I'm afraid it's not a good thing." But he was not afraid. Following Li Mushi, they took the elevator to the third floor of the club. On the third floor, they turned right, and there was a large space inside, with 3 arenas on the left, right, and middle. There were a lot of fitness equipment around, and large mirrors were pasted on the walls on both sides. At the very front was a long row of floor-to-ceiling glass, through which one could see the bustling scene of the central business district in the distance. The black ceiling was densely covered with lights, and the bright lights illuminated the entire space. Dozens of men and women were exercising, and there were people sparring in the 3 arenas. It was a lively scene. Big sister Mushy. Seeing Lee Mushy, many people came over to greet her. At the same time, they looked at Lu Chin curiously. Lee Mushy responded to them one by one with a smile on her face, giving people the feeling that she was the queen here. Patrolling his own territory. The 2 of them sat down at a table near the window, and the waiter served them tea. Lee Mushy personally poured a cup of tea for Lu Chin and said, "Let's talk about business first. A venture capitalist is very interested in our online crowdfunding and wants to buy a part of the shares, at least 25%. Lu Chin immediately perked up. "What's the price?" To be frank, in addition to making it convenient for him to release his album, he also wanted to make a quick sum of money. It was a good thing that VCs were willing to hold shares. Lee Mushy said, "Their valuation of Mucho crowdfunding is 20 million. 20 million. Lu Chin frowned. This valuation was a little low. If Lu Chin did it alone, and someone else was willing to pay 20 million, then he would sell it all without thinking. But now that the online crowdfunding has a stake in the Lee family and has obtained a copyright protection certificate, its value has naturally risen. The most important thing is that the online crowdfunding has completed its first crowdfunding project, and it has been very successful. This kind of internet business model is undoubtedly feasible and has great potential. The future is promising." Lee Mushy observed his expression and said, "This valuation is definitely low. Frankly speaking, I am very optimistic about the online crowdfunding now. If you are willing, I can buy 41% of your shares at a valuation of 50 million. Lu Chen's heart skipped a beat. With a valuation of 50 million, 41% of the shares is 25 million. Lee Mushy's offer is undoubtedly very sincere. It should be known that it has only been 2 months since the online crowdfunding was established, and the Lee family has contributed a lot. Lu Chin only provided an idea. An idea in exchange for more than 20 million yuan, in today's era, is also a miracle of the internet. However, Lu Chin was not overwhelmed by the sudden huge sum of money. He calmly asked, "Why not buy it all? Leave 10% for me." Lee Mushy smiled and said, "At least for now, the online crowdfunding needs your existence, especially in projects involving the entertainment industry. You can play a good role." The first project of the online crowdfunding, Lu Chen's debut album, was completed entirely through his fans, proving the appeal of Lu Chin and also setting a good example in the entertainment industry. Mucho crowdfunding had already received inquiries from a few entertainment agencies. Moreover, the publicity effect of crowdfunding projects in the entertainment industry is not comparable to that of other commercial projects. Lu Chin said with a smile, "In that case, I agree with your offer, but my 10% shares must be converted into non-dilutable founders' shares." When he originally cooperated with the Lee family, he promised to transfer most of his shares in the future. But Lu Chin still has to stick to his own interests. The so-called non-dilutable founders' shares refer to that no matter how big the company expands in the future, no matter how much the amount of investment increases, his 10% of the shares will be fixed and unchanged. Lee Mushy was very surprised. She originally thought that she could easily knock down Lu Chin with 20 million yuan, but she didn't expect Lu Chin to put forward such a condition. His question just now was obviously a question that he knew the answer to. She was really a little careless, or underestimated Lu Chin. 10% of the non-dilutable founders' shares is not much, but it's actually not little. But Lee Mushy was not so easy to admit defeat. She pondered for a moment and said, "Let me think about it first. Let's put aside this business matter first. Let's talk about private matters." Lu Chen asked calmly, "Is it about Chin Chin?" Lee Mushy stared at him, her eyes a little fierce. "Yes, what did you do to her last night?" Lu Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "What can I do to her?" He told the story of taking Chin Chin out last night, so that Lee Mushy and the Lee family could rest assured. After listening to it, Lee Mushy's eyes softened a lot. But she didn't intend to let Lu Chen go. She said rudely, "Who asked you to be nosy? She is my sister, and I can't let you bully her for nothing." Lu Chen couldn't help but be surprised, because in his impression, Lee Mushy was not that kind of unreasonable person. Lu Chen asked, "Then what do you want?" Lee Mushy pointed to the ring in front of her without thinking and said, "It's very simple. As long as you defeat me on the ring, then this matter will be written off, and I will agree to your conditions of buying the shares. If you lose," a sly smile appeared on her lips, "then you apologize to Qian Qian and make her happy." Lu Chen felt that he couldn't keep up with Lee Mushy's thoughts. "You mean you want to fight with me?" Lee Mushy nodded. "Yes, Qian Qian learned judo self-defense from me, and she said that she is no match for you, this woman." Lu Chen saw the flames of excitement in her eyes, revealing a sense of belligerence. She was serious. Lu Chen shook his head and said frankly, "You are no match for me, and I don't beat women." Lee Mushy sneered, "How do you know if you don't try? You don't have to treat me as a woman." She felt that Lu Chen was really boasting. Lu Chen looked at Lee Mushy in a daze, and suddenly said with a smile, "In this case, if you agree to one more condition, then I can fight with you." Lee Mushy couldn't wait to ask, "What condition?" Lu Chen said lightly, "It's very simple. If you lose, you are not allowed to harass my sister in the future." Lee Mushy was a les, commonly known as a lesbian. Lu Chen didn't know at first, but later She told him several times that Lee Mushy was strange to her. Lu Chen felt that something was wrong, so he asked Li Mubai, and the latter mumbled that she didn't understand. But Lu Chen already understood. Lu Chen didn't discriminate against les, and Lee Mushy didn't do anything too excessive, but he still hoped that his sister wouldn't be troubled by it. Lee Mushy was stunned for a moment, and then she giggled. She glanced at Lu Chen flirtatiously and said, "In fact, I quite like your sister. Since you have asked, then I will give you face, but the premise is that you must defeat me." "Then come on." Lu Chen stood up calmly and said, "The sooner it's over, the sooner it's over." His confidence and calmness made Lee Mushy frown involuntarily. But Lee Mushy didn't take it to heart, because she didn't believe that she would lose to Lu Chen. "Change your clothes." The facilities in the hall were very complete. Soon, someone brought Lu Chen a set of brand new clothes that fit him. After Lu Chen changed, he went to the middle ring. Lee Mushy was already waiting for him there. Lu Chen was wearing a black Daoist robe, and she was wearing a white tight-fitting outfit, which outlined her figure to be vigorous and sexy, especially her pair of long legs, which were simply captivating, full of power and beauty. Seeing the two of them on the ring, the people around them gathered around to watch. There were men and women among these people. They were all young, but all of them were well-proportioned and fit. Obviously, they had been exercising for a long time. Many of them had strong muscles, and their eyes were shining. Undoubtedly, they were not ordinary fitness enthusiasts. The duel between Lu Chen and Lee Mushy attracted everyone's attention. Chapter 204. In Lu Chen's impression, Lee Mushy belongs to the kind of beautiful and shrewd modern woman. Regardless of her sexual orientation, the eldest daughter of the Lee family, who graduated from the Wharton School of Business, had a candid personality and a keen business sense. Under her control, Mukin crowdfunding was full of vitality and vigor. Lu Chen still admires her very much. It was just that at this moment, Lee Mushy, who stood in front of Lu Qin, had a completely different image. She was like a female leopard with her claws and fangs, beautiful and dangerous. In particular, Li Mushi's eyes, which were staring at Lu Qin, were shining with excitement, as if she was staring at a delicious prey and was eager to pounce on him. Huh, who is this guy? Isn't competing with our big sister looking for abuse? Do you think this brother really has courage, or doesn't he know how powerful our big sister Mushi is? He must not know. In terms of body size alone, Lu Qin, who is more than 180 centimeters tall, is firmly superior to Li Mushi, and after a long period of unremitting exercise and nutritional supplements, his physique is also quite strong. In addition, Lu Qin is a man. It stands to reason that the onlookers should be worried about Li Mushi. However, the truth was the complete opposite. Most of the people around the ring looked at Lu Qin with ridicule in their eyes. There was no lack of schadenfreude, and there was even pity and sympathy. Someone recognized Lu Qin. Isn't this Lu Qin, the champion of Singing China? What, Singing China? You said he sings. Well, she's a singer. She sings very well. She's very talented. Have you heard of her? That's what he sings. Ha, Sister Mushi is going to abuse a noob. Their comments were clearly heard by Lu Qin, making the corners of his mouth twitch. So I'm a singer. It seems that's not wrong. Li Mushi noticed Lu Qin's look and said with a chuckle, "Don't worry, I'll be very gentle." Lu Qin felt that the corner of his mouth was about to twitch. He sighed and said, "Sister Mushi, you go first." Li Mushi's eyes flashed. She suddenly strode forward and approached Lu Qin in an instant. It was like a leopard pouncing on its prey in the jungle. In close combat, she suddenly waved her right arm, 4 fingers of her right hand closed together, and her thumb bent close to the base of her index finger. A standard palm knife chopped towards Lu Qin's neck like lightning, swift and powerful, breaking through the air and creating wind. Had it been an ordinary person, they would not have been able to react in time and would have been slashed to the ground instantly. It was very likely that he had fainted. But Lu Qin was prepared. He raised his left arm without hesitation and accurately blocked Li Mushi's palm blade with his elbow. At the same time, he clenched his right fist and punched straight at Li Mushi's face. Paw! Li Mushi's palm knife chopped Lu Qin's elbow and did not complete the winning blow. Facing Lu Qin's fist, she nimbly dodged sideways, twisted her waist, and suddenly jumped up. At the same time, her slender right leg flew up, and a beautiful roundhouse kick was thrown out. Both sides were in close combat. Li Mushi's evasive counterattack was wonderful, and her roundhouse kick was full of power. Good! The onlookers around the ring all cheered, and all of them were extremely excited. In their view, Lu Qin was bound to lose. Li Mushi's strength in kickboxing, although not comparable to the top masters, was absolutely easy to take down a singer. Even Lu Qin seems to have a few tricks up his sleeve. Bang! But to everyone's disappointment, Li Mushi's roundhouse kick was unexpectedly blocked by Lu Qin's raised left arm again. Before her body fell, Lu Qin turned sideways and punched again. This punch seemed slow, but it was actually fast, and it was silent. It hit Li Mushi's abdomen in the air. Li Mushi was in the air and could not dodge at all. With a muffled sound, her whole body flew out like a kite with a broken string, and fell heavily on the ring a few meters away. The cheers around the ring stopped abruptly, and the onlookers' expressions froze as if they had seen a ghost. How could this be? In their view, Lu Qin, who dared to compete with Li Mushi, was destined to be beaten to a pulp. It was just a matter of how long he persisted, and there was no suspense in the outcome of the match. But now, the two sides had just started fighting, and Li Mushi was sent flying to the ground. She was actually vulnerable. This completely subverted everyone's common sense, and suddenly there was silence. Lu Chen closed his hands and smiled faintly. Sister Mushy, thanks for letting me win. But under his smile, there was hidden pain. Although he unexpectedly defeated Li Mushy, in fact, Lu Chen was not unscathed. His left arm, which had just received the roundhouse kick, was numb and sore, and it was estimated that his muscles were injured. The strength of Li Mushy's kick was very strong, and his body's tempering was far from enough. Li Mushy struggled to get up and stared at him fiercely. Her eyes were full of shame and unwillingness. Her right hand pressed on her abdomen. Lu Chen's fist was very heavy. There was no tenderness for the fairer sex. After a moment, she said dejectedly, I lost. Miss Li was a very proud person. A loss was a loss, and she would never do anything to go back on her words and deny it. But she was really unwilling to accept it. Lu Chen secretly breathed a sigh of relief. To be honest, Li Mushy's foundation was very strong, but she was eager to win. In a situation where she didn't have an absolute advantage, she actually made a roundhouse kick. She simply didn't put him in her eyes. The martial arts that Lu Chen mastered came from Mo Ran. Although this actor in the dream world didn't have much fame, he had put a lot of hard work in practicing martial arts and training his body. He also had a lot of experience in fighting with others, so he had real martial arts. Since he woke up that day, Lu Chen had been training every day regardless of rain or shine. His basic physical quality was good, and he had talent in this area. Although he didn't dare to say that he had learned all the skills, it was not a problem to defeat Li Mushy who underestimated him. In time, Lu Chen could be stronger than Mo Ran because he was still very young. If Li Mushy fought steadily with Lu Chen, the result would be hard to say. Now she could only swallow the bitter fruit of defeat. Li Mushy also could afford to lose. She quickly calmed down, raised her head again and said to Lu Chen, next time, it won't be so easy for you to beat me. There will be a next time. Lu Chen shook his head. It was not interesting to defeat a woman, and there was no glory. If there was a chance, he wanted to find other people here to practice a few times. Lu Chen's eyes swept over the people around the ring. There should be a suitable opponent among them. Lu Chen also had a good idea in his heart. But the time was not ripe yet. He got off the ring. At this time, the onlookers looked at Lu Chen with completely different gazes. Surprise, awe, curiosity, Lu Chen went to the locker room to change out of his Taoist robe and put on his own clothes. He returned to the original resting seat and sat down. Soon after, Li Mushy also came. The eldest daughter of the Li family had completely calmed down, and seemed to have accepted her crushing defeat to Lu Chen. But the light flashing in her eyes showed that she didn't intend to give up. Lu Chen, where did you learn martial arts? Li Mushy was really curious. She had read Lu Chen's information, and there was no mention of Lu Chen practicing martial arts. The fact was that he was very good at martial arts. The eldest daughter of the Li family felt a dull pain in her abdomen, and she couldn't help but grit her teeth. She had never lost so miserably. Lu Chen knew that Li Mushy wanted to get information out of him, so he smiled and said, self-taught. He reached out and tapped on the table and asked, you won't change the conditions you promised, will you? Li Mushy snorted and said, 20 million to buy 41% of your shares in Mukin crowdfunding. You can retain 10% of the non-diluted founder's shares. We will sign the contract tomorrow. As for your sister, she glared at Lu Chen and said, I won't take the initiative to find her in the future, unless she comes to me. Lu Chen couldn't help the joy in his heart and said sincerely, thank you, Sister Mushy. Lu Chen was really grateful to Li Mushy. With this money, he could finally pay off all the debts of his family. Not only that, the money left after paying off the debts could also help him realize a wish that had been buried in his heart. From then on, he would be free from debt, and from then on, he would be able to jump freely in the sea and fly freely in the sky. Of course, Li Mushy wouldn't suffer a loss. Under her control and management, the prospects of Mukin crowdfunding were extremely bright. Although if Lu Chen transferred most of his shares now, he might lose future benefits. But a person should know how to be content. Compared with his efforts, 20 million was already an amazing excess return, not to mention the retention of 10% of the shares. Lu Chen was satisfied. Li Mushi couldn't see Lu Chen so happy and said, "Don't be happy too early. I also have a condition." Lu Chen was stunned. What condition? Li Mushi said, "In the future, you have to come here several times a month to practice martial arts with me, otherwise," without waiting for her to finish, Lu Chen agreed, "No problem. As long as I'm free, I'll definitely come." It was great to have such a martial arts training ground. As for being Li Mushi's sparring partner, it was a complete trifle. Li Mushi was a very good opponent. Lu Chen agreed so happily that Li Mushi felt that her calculation seemed to have failed again. This eldest Miss Li was very unhappy, but there was nothing she could do. She remembered it in her heart, one day, she would get back at him. The next afternoon, in the new Mukin crowdfunding company, the two sides formally signed an equity transfer agreement. According to the agreement, the funds for the acquisition of shares would be transferred into Lu Chen's personal account within 3 days. After solving this important matter, Lu Chen didn't relax. His career had just started. On the morning of October 10th, Lu Chen came to Flying Stone Records in the New Era Art Park. He was invited by Lin Jijie to participate in the audition of the title song of the debut album of the MSN Beautiful Girl group. The title song of this album, of course, was written by Lu Chen. Chapter 205. Flying Stone Records, Listening Room. As a veteran record company in the industry, the strength of Flying Stone Records was still very deep. Its equipment and facilities were among the best in the industry, and the listening room was no exception. Although the area of this listening room was not very large, the decoration was strictly in accordance with the industry's first-class standards. Whether it was the floor, the wall layout, or the audio and video system, they were all very advanced. With special seats, it could be used as a very high-specification home theater. Today's day was a bit special. The listening room that could accommodate 24 listeners was full, and there were several people who had no seats standing directly in the aisle. It could be said to be crowded together. And all the people present were the top figures of Flying Stone Records. Yi Xiangjuan, the vice president of Flying Stone Records, Lin Jijie, the manager of the public relations department, the manager of the brokerage department, the chief contracted author Fan Jun, and a number of agents gathered together, including the protagonists of this listening session, MSN Group. In addition, Xia Guiyuan, the general manager of Flying Stone Records, also came. Xia Guiyuan was in his 50s this year. He has been in charge of Flying Stone Records for more than 20 years. He has experienced the process of the record company from its most glorious peak to its decline, and then to its resurgence. His prestige in the company is extremely high. In the circle, everyone's evaluation of Xia Guiyuan was that he was shrewd and tenacious. He had a wide network and a deep background. He acted swiftly and decisively. He was very old and could accept new things. The establishment of the MSN Beautiful Girl group was the result of the promotion of Xia Guiyuan and Lin Jijie, so he would personally attend the listening session of the title song of the album. Otherwise, a mere song, even if it was the title work, was not worth Xia Guiyuan coming out to suppress the scene. Some time ago, there were some different voices within Flying Stone Records about MSN's debut album, thinking that the investment was too large, leading to a doubling of the risk. In particular, the cost of hiring Lu Chen to compose and supervise the production was as high as 1 million plus. Giving a newcomer the treatment of a top author had never happened in the history of Flying Stone Records. Although Lu Chen's talent was excellent, and his solo album has also been recognized by the market, there were always people who had doubts, and even suspected that there was any insider trading. This brought a lot of pressure to Lin Jijie. It wasn't until Lu Qin swept the original music chart recently and shocked the industry that the voices of doubt weakened a lot. But there were still doubts. Today, Xia Guiyuan was actually sitting here to support Lin Jijie. In addition to the senior management of Flying Stone Records, the company also invited a number of well-known people in the industry. One of them was Zhen Zhen, editor-in-chief of Pop Music magazine. She had a good relationship with Lin Jijie and was very interested in MSN's debut album. She was invited to come today. There were also 2 music radio hosts and a well-known music critic. Such a scene made the 3 girls of the MSN group, Mu Xiaochu, Su Jiejie and Ning Tian, all tremble with fear. They sat in the corner of the listening room and did not dare to breathe. In fact, the beautiful girls were even more excited because this song was of great significance to their debut album. The door of the listening room was pushed open, and an employee of Flying Stone Records led a young man in. Mu Xiaochu and the others were sitting close to the door, so they were the first to see the newcomers. They immediately stood up and said to the young man in unison, "Hello, Teacher Lu." The crisp and melodious greeting of MSN alarmed the other people present, Xia Guiyuan, He Xiangjuan, Lin Jijie. They stood up one after another. The comer was Lu Qin. He didn't expect so many people to come to today's main audition. He was very surprised. Lu Qin nodded to Mu Xiaochu and the other 2. He put his hands together and apologized to Lin Jijie, who had just come over. "I'm really sorry to have kept everyone waiting. There was a traffic jam on the way here just now." Lin Jijie said with a smile, "You're not late. Let me introduce you. This is our general manager." He first introduced Xia Guiyuan to Lu Qin. Lu Qin had been to Flying Stone Records 4 or 5 times, but it was the first time he had seen the helmsman. He has also heard a lot about Xia Guiyuan's name, a real senior. Xia Guiyuan held Lu Qin's hand and said with a smile, "Mr. Lu Qin is young and promising. It's also our luck that Flying Stone Records is fortunate to cooperate with you." Such an evaluation was really high, which made Lu Qin a little fearful and in awe. Lin Jijie introduced him to several other guests, including Zhen Zhen, the editor-in-chief of Pop Music magazine. Everyone was very respectful and polite to Lu Qin. This respect was not just out of politeness, but Lu Qin's status in the pop music world was no longer as simple as the winner of Singing China. It could be said that he has erected his own style. Lu Qin's current position was achieved with 11 original works on the original music chart. This unprecedented record was enough to make everyone feel deep veneration for him. After some pleasantries, Lu Qin sat down next to Xia Guiyuan. This position was specially vacated for him. Lin Jijie personally operated the playback equipment. Before the audition, he said, "Thank you for coming to listen to the album title song of MSN Group. This song was composed by Lu Qin and co-arranged and produced with me. After listening to it, please give me more valuable comments." In the audition room, there was a soft applause. Lin Jijie said with a smile, "The name of this song is called Not Yet Lovers." As soon as his voice fell, he pressed the play button at the same time. The audition room became extremely quiet in an instant, until the prelude sounded. "Why am I the only one who can talk to you all night? Why do I want to see you again after saying goodbye? Among my friends, you are the most special. You always make me feel very close and considerate. Why do you care who goes shopping with me? Why do you worry about who makes love to me? You say you have feelings for me, a little more than others, but you don't say how much. Friends and above, not yet lovers, sweet but upset, happy and chaotic. In the future, what will become? I can't wait to know the answer." This song, Not Yet Lovers, was the title song selected by Lu Qin for MSN's album. The meaning of the title of the song, Not Yet Lovers, comes from the Japanese, friends and above, not yet lovers. It means that the relationship between two people is above the relationship of friends, but has not yet reached the level of lovers. It is most suitable to express the green and astringent feeling between young people. The first three parts of the song were sung by the three beautiful girls of MSN. They used their respective sweet or clear voices to sing the expectation of love and the sweetness of being trapped in the dream of love of semi-mature girls, and delicately conveyed the longing and dreams of girls in this awkward period. In an instant, it caught the ears of almost everyone present. The singing of Mu Xiaochu, Su Jiejie and Ning Tian vividly expressed the unique feelings of little girls. The beautiful melody, the just right arrangement, and the simple but beautiful accompaniment created an atmosphere that was intoxicating. Just a little closer, I'll let you hold my hand, a little braver, I'll go with you. What are you waiting for? There's not much time left, if it goes on, we can only be friends. A little closer, I'll nod, a little more impulsive, I won't dodge. Just 3 words, don't hesitate so long as you say it, you can have me. The chorus part was also the climax of the whole song. The combination of the 3 girls was perfect. The reserve of youth, the friendship of youth, and the inexplicable heartbeat of youth. The ignorant pure love, the brave encouragement, and the impulse to pursue true love made people feel as if they had returned to the past, and they couldn't help but think of the people they had missed. Whether it was sad or sweet, perhaps only they knew. The farthest love was that you were on the left and I was on the right. The most memorable love was that it was more than friends, but not lovers. Although he had heard it many times, when he heard the final version, Lu Qin was also moved by their voices. As newcomers in the circle and members of the new girl group of Flying Stone Records, Mu Xiaochu, Su Jiejie and Ning Tian were all under a lot of pressure. Many people were staring at them and paying attention to them. And this kind of attention was not only well-intentioned, but also some people wanted to see them make a fool of themselves. MSN withstood the pressure. When Lu Qin brought the music score of Not Yet Lovers, they practiced hard, tried to figure it out, practiced it over and over again, and even the slightest flaw had to be corrected repeatedly. Now, the hard work of the 3 girls had finally produced a beautiful flower. Although the final fruit has yet to be tested by the market, at least now, in this listening room, both the senior management of Flying Stone Records and the invited listeners were immersed in the singing. Their looks were enough to explain everything. Can you make up your mind quickly and tell me I love you? When MSN finished the last sentence of the chorus and the accompaniment ended, applause suddenly rang out. Xiao Guiyuan was the first to stand up and clap his hands hard. He was the oldest of the people present, and he should have been the least moved by this song, Not Yet Lovers. Because the most suitable people to listen to Not Yet Lovers were young people. But the general manager of Flying Stone Records could hear the sincerity and value contained in this song. It was worthy of his appreciation and applause. Whether it was Lin Jijie, Lu Qin, or MSN, they all lived up to his expectations. The others followed suit and gave warm applause and praise to the 3 girls sitting in the back. Good song. It's really good, and the singing is also very good. It can definitely be on the original music chart, at least in the top 10. This song made them, senior industry people, have a premonition that an album with great market potential and even a big hit was about to be born. It may only be a matter of time before MSN becomes popular. In the face of the praise of their predecessors, Mu Xiaochu, Su Jiejie and Ning Tian were obviously unprepared. They stood up a little bewildered, their pretty faces flushed, and then bowed in a panic to thank them. In the end, MSN's eyes focused on Lu Qin. Because they all knew who had given them everything they were enjoying now. Note, Not Yet Lovers, lyrics, Shi Rinqing / composition, B.K./W.A. Chapter 206. Lu Qin, it's really thanks to you this time. In the music director's office of Flying Stone Records, Lin Jijie said to Lu Qin with a smile, it's a pleasure to cooperate with you. The title song of MSN's debut album, Not Yet Lovers, was written by Lu Qin and co-arranged and produced by Lin Jijie. At the just completed audition, it received unanimous praise from the company's senior executives and people in the industry. This song was too in line with the temperament and characteristics of MSN. Although Lin Jijie had always been full of confidence in the production process, it was not until the dust had settled that he was really relieved. The music director of Flying Stone Records has rich experience in the industry. He has produced many albums, and there are many big star idols he has cooperated with. It stands to reason that he is used to big storms and waves, and there is no need to be so serious. The reason was that there was a lot of controversy from within the company some time ago, which made him, an old gun, feel pressure. In particular, Lin Jijie's decision to invite Lu Chen to sing a song had caused a lot of gossip. The price of Lu Chen's song was 350,000 yuan, and the friendship price given to Flying Stone Records was 300,000 yuan. Plus the remuneration of the producer, it had completely reached the level of the top writers in the industry. He was a newcomer who had just made his debut. What ability did he have? Some people even suspected that Lin Jijie had taken a kickback. It was not until a large number of Lu Chen's works landed on the original music list that the rumor disappeared in the company. There were also people who thought that Lin Jijie seizing MSN and MSN's debut album was an act of usurping power. Some people were waiting to see him make a fool of himself. Today's audition passed smoothly, and the future of MSN was broad. Lin Jijie was naturally very grateful to Lu Chen. He also admired his own vision and determination. Lu Chen said with a smile, "Big brother Lin is too polite. I still need your help with my album." His own album, You Who Sat Next to Me, completed crowdfunding a few days ago. At present, the CD and peripheral products have been put on Flying Stone Records to start production. If everything goes well, it can be sent to all parts of the country next week. Lin Jijie had put in a lot of effort in this process. Lin Jijie laughed. "We are open for business. How can we reject customers? What do you mean by helping?" After a pause, he said, "But I really have something I need your help with." Lu Chen asked curiously, "What kind of help?" Lin Jijie said with a smile, "We are going to shoot the MV of the title song for MSN. We are currently lacking a male lead. The male lead of the music video for Not Yet Lovers." Lu Chen didn't expect that Lin Jijie actually wanted him to star in MSN's MV. It was really a joke to say help. There were many artists under Flying Stone Records. It was really easy to find someone who was about the same age and appearance as Lu Chen. Many people would break their heads to get such a good thing. How could the fertile water of Flying Stone Records flow into Lu Chen's field? Lu Chen didn't believe it. "Big brother Lin, don't joke like this." Lin Jijie said sternly, "It's really not a joke. You are the original author of this song, and you meet all the conditions. There is a publicity explosive point. I think it's very suitable." It turned out to be a publicity opportunity. Lu Chen understood that Flying Stone Records really spared no effort to make MSN popular. With his identity and fame, it was indeed a good publicity stunt to shoot a MV with MSN. Lu Chen thought for a moment and said, "When will it be shot?" Lin Jijie replied, "It will be shot the day after tomorrow. Can you spare time?" "It will be shot in 2 days at most. The main shots are all in the school, so it won't take too much time. As for the pay for the performance, our budget is limited. Do you think 30,000 is okay?" MV was completely different from advertisements and movies and TV plays. The male lead of MSN like Lu Chen was usually of a friendship nature. The price of 30,000 was very good. If it was an artist of Flying Stone Records, it was completely free. Lu Chen still had some understanding of the market. He nodded and said, "The pay doesn't matter. I just have one request. Originally, things like this should be discussed by Lu Shi, but because the amount was very small and it was of the nature of friendly help, he agreed directly. Later, his sister would make up the contract." Of course, Lu Chen was not completely without requirements. He had conditions. Monday, October 12th, Northern Conservatory of Music. Northern Conservatory of Music was one of the three major conservatories in Beijing. It had the same status as Beijing Conservatory of Music and Zhongyin Academy. Among the advanced conservatories in China, it was famous for its open-mindedness and freedom of study. Beijing attached great importance to social practice. After graduation, most of the students entered various media and entertainment companies and had a wide influence in the circle. As a veteran music production company, Flying Stone Records has always had a good cooperative relationship with Beijing. Therefore, the MV of MSN's Not Yet Lovers was filmed in Northern Conservatory of Music. Flying Stone Records still attached great importance to this MV and sent an elite team. There were 3 cameramen alone, and others such as art, lighting, makeup, costumes, props, and so on were all available. In the lecture hall, Lu Chen was sitting in front of a vertical piano. He was wearing a special school uniform and playing the song Not Yet Lovers with rapt attention. The early morning sun shone through the gaps in the leaves and the glass windows, casting mottled light and shadow on his face and body. The 3 members of MSN, Mu Xiaochu, Su Jiejie and Ning Tian, sat in the first row, enjoying Lu Chen's performance with a smile on their faces. Mu Xiaochu was in the middle, with Su Jiejie and Ning Tian on her left and right. This was the second scene of the MV of Not Yet Lovers. In this MV, Mu Xiaochu was the female lead partnered with Lu Chen, and Su Jiejie and Ning Tian were her best friends. Originally, Flying Stone Records wanted Ning Tian to be the female lead, because she was the most beautiful and had the best appearance. But Lin Jijie thought that Mu Xiaochu's pure and sweet temperament was most in line with the theme of Not Yet Lovers, so he chose her in the end. After playing half of the song, Lu Chen raised his head and looked at the seat in front of him, just in time to meet Mu Xiaochu's eyes. He smiled and winked at the other party mischievously. The latter bowed her head shyly and didn't dare to meet Lu Chen's eyes. She was as shy as a frightened rabbit. Although he knew that they were filming, although he knew that 2 cameras were pointed at him at the same time, Lu Chen still had a wonderful feeling in his heart, and inadvertently thought of 2 lines of poetry. The gentleness of bowing her head was just like a water lotus that was too shy to resist. As for the sound of the zither, it was like a clear spring that spread out, forming circles and circles of ripples. It was just like Lu Chen's mood at this moment. Sitting in the corner of the classroom, MV director Fang Hui bit her lip. She was afraid that she would shout out on the spot. This shot was amazing. Fang Hui was an external director of Flying Stone Records. She was famous in the circle for being good at shooting movies and dramas that express women's delicate emotions. She has also shot a lot of MVs and has extremely rich experience. Fang Hui originally didn't want to come, because the male and female leads of this MV were newcomers who had just debuted. They definitely lacked shooting experience and would waste a lot of her time. She has very strict requirements for her work. But because it was Xia Guiyuan, the boss of Flying Stone Records, who personally invited her, Fang Hui still gave her face. What she didn't expect was that the shooting process was unexpectedly smooth. First of all, the female lead, Mu Xiaochu. She obviously didn't have much experience in acting. At the beginning, she made several mistakes, all of which were low-level mistakes. But her understanding was very high. After being reminded and pointed out, the same mistakes would not be made again. The most important thing was that Mu Xiaochu herself was a college girl. It was a natural performance. She played the female lead's psychological state of longing for love, longing to be loved, and not daring to take the initiative to confess to the male lead very naturally. Fang Hui even felt that her feelings for Lu Chen. As for Lu Chen, Fang Hui really didn't believe that Lu Chen was a newcomer who had just debuted, and had no previous learning experience in acting. His performance in front of the camera was impeccable, and his movements and eyes were very on point. Lu Chen's acting skills seemed to be natural, and his acting talent made Fang Hui's heart palpitate with excitement. He was simply a natural actor. In Fong Hui's view, Lu Chen's performance today was the biggest surprise she had received. The female director even had an idea. Cut. When Lu Chen finished playing the song, Fong Hui finally couldn't help standing up and said with a smile, "It's over." If he could maintain such an excellent state, it wouldn't take 2 days at all, and all the shooting could be completed today. Not far from Fong Hui, Li Feiyu was still holding a mobile camera and shooting non-stop. All the scenes he shot were being transmitted to the live broadcast room of Whale TV through the 4G network. Lu Chen's condition for agreeing to star in this MV was that he hoped that Flying Stone Records would allow him to broadcast the shooting scene live. Lu Chen signed a 2-year contract with Whale TV. According to the requirements of the contract, he must have enough time to host live broadcasts and interact with fans every month. Although there were ways to circumvent the restrictions of the contract, and this contract had become untimely with the rise of Lu Chen's fame, so far, he has no plans to give up live broadcasting. Because Lu Chen has not forgotten what has supported him all the way to the present. Most of his fans came from the live broadcasting platform. It was the rewards from these fans that helped him get through the initial difficult period. Even if Lu Chen's time to play and sing in the live broadcast room was getting less and less, fans had no complaints. They also enthusiastically bought his album and participated in his album crowdfunding activities. One must know how to be grateful. Therefore, when conditions permit, Lu Chen will appear in his own live broadcast room. It's not necessarily to sing. Just like shooting a music video now, it can also bring a great surprise and novelty to fans. This is also a small reward for his fans who have been supporting him. Lu Chen stood up and waved at Li Feiyu's camera. "Good morning, everyone." Chapter 207. Ring ring. There was a shrill bell in Ningwan Second High School, telling all the teachers and students that the time for the first class had arrived. Meng Meng rushed out of the classroom and ran all the way to the bathroom. She found the innermost position and squatted down. She carefully closed the door, then took out her mobile phone from her dress pocket and turned it on. She didn't forget to plug in the headphones. According to the school regulations, high school students are not allowed to carry electronic products with them, especially smartphones. Once they are caught, they will be confiscated on the spot, and their parents must come and sign before they can take them back. Meng Meng was a very good girl. She didn't dare to violate the school rules, but today's situation was a bit different. She decided to do something bad. It took 15 seconds to turn on the phone, but Meng Meng felt as if it had been a long time. Entering the UI interface, she couldn't wait to connect to the data network and skillfully opened the browser. She logged into the address that had been stored in the favorites column. Whale TV, Lu Fei Live Broadcast Room. Lu Fei is Lu Chen, and Meng Meng is a fan of Lu Chen, a real fan of Lu Jiejun's group. After a few seconds, the live broadcast screen and a large number of bullet screens were brushed out at the same time. Meng Meng glanced at the number of people online and was suddenly shocked. There were more than 270,000, which was incredible. It should be known that today was Monday, and it was also early in the morning. There were people working and studying. Not many people would be immersed in the live broadcast website. Such a high number of people online was simply breaking through the sky. That is, our Lu Chen is big and has high charm. Meng Meng thought happily and felt very happy. As a die-hard fan of Lu Chen, Meng Meng never thought about being with her idol. She liked Lu Chen's songs, liked to listen to Lu Chen's voice, and liked to see Lu Chen's face. That was enough. Yesterday, in the fan group, Meng Meng saw an announcement that Lu Chen and a girl group called MSN would shoot a music video today, and the shooting process would be broadcast live. Therefore, she secretly brought her phone over and watched it during the break of class. Even if it was just a glance. This was Lu Chen's first music video. Although it wasn't his, it was said that the female lead was Mu Xiaochu. Many fans of Lu Qin are no strangers to Mu Xiaochu. They knew her in the competition of Singing China, and Mu Xiaochu has also appeared on Lu Chen's live broadcast. Everyone affectionately calls her little sister Xiaochu. To be honest, Meng Meng was very envious of Mu Xiaochu, and even a little jealous. On the phone screen, Meng Meng finally saw Lu Qin. Lu Qin was playing the piano. He was playing a piece that she had never heard before. The place he was in was obviously a school classroom, probably a university. Many of them were notified to cooperate with Flying Stone Records to shoot the last scene of the MV. Many people came purely to watch the fun. Everyone was a little curious when they heard that Lu Qin, the champion of Singing China, and the founder of Campus Folk Songs, was present. There were very few students in Beijing who chased after stars, but there were still some. For the needs of the shooting, the stage of the auditorium has been refurbished, with a long banner of the graduation party hanging on the top, and the background of the large LED screen changing blurred colors. Mu Xiaochu and two classmates' best friends were sitting in the audience, and a spotlight was falling on her. But people's real focus was on Lu Qin. Lu Qin changed into a simple t-shirt and jeans. He sat there with his guitar in his arms and was about to start performing. For Lu Qin, shooting a MV was only a little more difficult than shooting a commercial. A lot of content was shot today. He and Mu Xiaochu met in the music classroom, met in the library, bumped into each other in the restaurant, and met each other in the garden. Although there was no holding hands, no kissing, and no intimate scenes, they only communicated with eyes and music. This didn't pose a problem to Lu Qin at all. The shooting process was very smooth, and there were very few NGs, so Big sped up the progress. After shooting the last scene, they could call it a day and go home. The existence of hundreds of extras on the stage only added a little more pressure to Lu Qin. He plucked the strings lightly and played the prelude skillfully. Most of the people present understood music, and many of them had heard this song before, so they recognized it immediately. Those Flowers. Lu Qin first sang the song Those Flowers at the graduation party of Jianghai University. Later, he also sang it in the Singing China competition and won a very high score. But this work really became popular because the video of the graduation party singing it was spread on the internet. There were a lot of young people, especially students, high school students and college students, especially those who were about to graduate. They liked this song very, very much. Many people played and sang Those Flowers at their school's graduation party. It could always move those sentimental girls. Therefore, Those Flowers had the nickname Graduation Divine Song. Countless people have heard this song. And now, hundreds of Beijing students were listening to the original version of Those Flowers. That laughter reminds me of my flowers, blooming quietly for me in every corner of my life. I thought I would stay by her side forever. Today, we have left in the vast sea of people. Are they all old? Where are they? Just like this, we run to the ends of the world. Law. I miss her. Law. Is she still blooming? Law. Go. They have been blown away by the wind and scattered to the ends of the world. A touch of sadness, a touch of nostalgia, whispering and singing about the past. The auditorium became very quiet, with only Lu Qin's singing echoing. Those who were able to be admitted to Beijing were all top students in their professions. They usually received music training from an early age and put in countless painstaking efforts, as well as talent and luck to be able to sit here. Therefore, they were proud. Although the teachers and students of Beijing present did not despise Lu Qin, they always felt a little condescending sense of superiority or disapproval. However, now that they had seen Lu Qin play the guitar with their own eyes and heard him sing with their own ears, even the most picky person could not accept his talent and the power in his singing. Some stories haven't been told yet, so let's forget about it. Those feelings have been difficult to distinguish between true and false over the years. Now there are weeds and no flowers here, fortunately. I once had your spring and autumn, winter and summer. Law. I miss her. Law. Is she still blooming? Law. Go. They have been blown away by the wind and scattered to the ends of the world. Are they all old? Where are they? Just like this, we run to the ends of the world. In the audience, Mu Xiaochu sat motionless, and a camera was shooting at her. Her eyes were sparkling, and there was a smile on her face. She stared at Lu Chen like this, without the slightest shyness. This was different from the requirements of the MV script, but director Fang Hui did not call for a stop. She just let the cameraman keep shooting like this. She had shot so many MVs, but she had never forgotten her job duties like this. Immersed in the atmosphere of the scene. At the same time, thousands of miles away in Ningyuan City, in the ICU ward of the First People's Hospital, Meng Meng, who was hooked up to an intravenous drip, was lying on the hospital bed and sleeping soundly. Her mother was sitting by the bed, holding a test sheet in her hand, tears streaming down her face, but she tried hard not to cry. Chapter 208. The music video of Not Yet Lovers was shot in the Northern Conservatory of Music for 2 days. Originally, they could have finished shooting the required content in 1 day, but Fang Hui felt very good, so she added more scenes. As a result, they shot a few more scenes. In the end, she still wanted to say more, regretting that the preparation this time was not enough. Lu Chen didn't care. Shooting music video was a very new experience for him. Even Mo Ran in the dream world had never shot a music video, let alone himself. He felt it was very interesting. His biggest gain was not finding the feeling of shooting, but getting to know Fang Hui. Fang Hui was a very characteristic female director. She was in her 40s this year. She looked ordinary and even a little ugly, but she had a very delicate heart and had a unique understanding of that kind of hazy youth love. There was not much plot content in the music video, and Fang Hui grasped it very well. She was not very famous in the circle, but the strength and talent of the director were beyond doubt. It was undoubtedly the right decision for Flying Stone Records to invite this master to shoot MSN's first main music video. During the shooting process, Lu Chen communicated with Fang Hui and was also greatly impressed. Fang Hui had a very good impression of Lu Chen. This kind of good impression was like a talent scout who found a fine horse, or a sculptor who found a peerless unpolished jade. She couldn't help but reveal some of her thoughts. At present, the domestic film market was showing a trend of change. After more than 10 years of baptism and the impact of foreign commercial blockbusters, the domestic audience had begun to get tired of the popcorn movies that relied on special effects and CG. The affluent life brought by economic prosperity could not fill the spiritual needs. When visual feast became synonymous with boredom, people yearned for a higher level of pursuit. As a result, many films with rich characteristics and connotations, such as nostalgic films, youth films, and comedies, gradually occupied a part of the market and were flourishing and promising. Fang Hui was aiming at the youth film market. She wanted to shoot a low-budget youth film at the end of this year and the beginning of next year, which would be released on Valentine's Day in 2016. But the problem was that Fang Hui could pull up a team and pull in a few investments, but she had not been able to find a suitable theme. Or more accurately, a script that could make her heart palpitate. Fang Hui felt that if she could determine the script, then Lu Chen was one of her ideal male lead candidates. Fang Hui was extremely satisfied with Lu Chen's appearance and acting skills. Of course, for now, her thoughts were still on paper. Maybe she would give up for one reason or another. Maybe she found a suitable script, but Lu Chen might not be the right protagonist. Fang Hui didn't promise anything to Lu Chen. The two sides happily exchanged contact information. Lu Chen kept this matter in mind. But for Lu Chen now, filming a movie was not important. What was important was that he was going home. The day after filming the MV for Not Yet Lovers, Lu Chen and Lu Shi returned to Binhai together. He had returned to his real home. Ah! Fong Yun, who was cutting vegetables in the kitchen, heard the sound of the key opening the door. She turned her head and saw Lu Chen and Lu Shi coming in. She couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, "Why are you back?" The kitchen knife almost cut her finger. Lu Chen, who was the first to enter the door, smiled and said, "Mom, my sister and I are here to give you a surprise." In fact, it was not just a surprise. There was a platter concert in Hangzhou on October 18th. He would sing 2 songs on stage as an invited singer, and the contract for the performance was signed last week. The so-called platter concert was a concert that many singers and artists were organized by performance companies or agencies to hold together, and the remuneration was calculated according to their position. Compared with the high-end solo singing, the risk of a platter concert was much lower, and it was more recognized by the audience. At present, this market cake was very big. Basically, most singers had participated in 1 or more platter concerts, and some artists even specialized in grabbing platters, and made a lot of money. The performance contract that Lu Shi signed for Lu Chen was not high, only 150,000 yuan, but it was still in line with his current status in the circle, slightly lower. However, because the place of the performance was in Hangzhou, which could be regarded as half of Lu Chen's home ground, and the organizers included Zhedong Satellite TV, Lu Shi did not hesitate to make the decision. In fact, during this period of time, there were a lot of performance companies that approached Lu Chen's studio, and Lu Shi just did not accept them. Lu Chen's position was not that kind of second or third-rate singer. Since he was going to sing in Hangzhou, he must first go home to see, so there was today's surprise. Big brother. Lu Shua came out of the room and screamed and flew into Lu Chen's arms. Her relationship with Lu Chen was much better than before. Because Lu Chen secretly gave Lu Shua a lot of pocket money, and with Lu Chen's growing fame, coupled with her beauty, she was almost a star in school, and even the teachers looked at her differently. Look, this is Lu Chen's sister. Who is Lu Chen? You don't know Lu Chen. He's the one who sang, "You who sat next to me, those flowers, in the night sky." Ah, she's Lu Chen's sister. These discussions greatly satisfied the vanity of the little girl. Her recent life had been very comfortable, and there was a smile on her face every day. Although Lu Shua was not that kind of superficial girl, after experiencing the changes in her family, she understood that these beautiful things were not easy to come by. She hugged Lu Chen tightly like an octopus, as if she was hugging the whole world. Lu Shi, who was behind, couldn't help rolling her eyes. Lu Shua stuck out her tongue at her sister with a proud look on her face. Lu Chen hugged his sister. "Well, you've gained a lot of weight." "How can that be?" Hearing this, Lu Shua exploded like a kitten whose tail had been stepped on, and quickly jumped down. "How can that be?" Lu Chen laughed. Lu Shua felt guilty. I've gained at most 1 kilogram, not a lot." She angrily reached out to Lu Chen. "Where's my gift?" While the brother and sister were playing here, Fong Yun hurriedly took off her apron and said, "I'm going to the supermarket to buy more food." "You too, really? Why didn't you call me first before coming back?" Lu Chen and Lu Shi looked at each other and smiled. Lucy originally wanted to make a phone call, but Lu Chen refused. Because Lu Chen wanted to give his mother a surprise, a big surprise. Lu Shi said, "Mom, I'll go with you." For Lu Chen, there was nothing happier than a family reunion and eating the food made by his mother. With the help of Lu Shi, Fong Yun made a table full of dishes. By the time they started to eat, it was already dark. Lu Shi opened a bottle of red wine bought from the supermarket and poured it for Fong Yun, Lu Chen and herself. Even Lu Shui had half a glass. Fang Yun's eyes were red. Only when you've lost something will you know how precious it is. In the past, it was very common for the family to eat together all day. Now that Lu Qin and Lu Shi are working hard in Beijing, such days will not be much in the foreseeable future. The atmosphere in the small living room was a little depressed. Lu Shui was very smart. She quickly said to Lu Qin, "Brother, you have to give me a few more autographs. My classmates want them." Lu Qin said with a smile, "You've told me 10 times. This time, I brought a lot of CDs back. Just give them records." Lu Qin handed over the recording and discovery of the CD album, You Who Sat Next to Me, to Flying Stone Records. Before he came to Binhai, all the CDs had been produced, and the peripheral products were also in the process of being produced. So, he brought back dozens of them. Lu Shui was overjoyed. "Great." She leaned over and kissed Lu Qin on the face. "Brother is so nice." Lu Qin said in disgust, "It's all oil." Fang Yun and Lu Shi both laughed, and the depressed atmosphere just now disappeared. Lu Shui glared at her brother and asked curiously, "Brother, is it true that you and Qin Fei are together?" The scandal between Lu Qin and Qin Fei has been on the entertainment headlines, and Fang Yun and Lu Shui certainly know about it. Fang Yun was very happy, but it turned out to be an empty joy. Lu Shui didn't give up. She thought that if she had a heavenly queen as her sister-in-law, it would be so cool and beautiful. Lu Qin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Didn't I refute the rumor long ago? I just have a cooperation with Qin Fei. You're a child. Just take care of your studies. Don't ask about adult affairs." Lu Shui muttered, "I'm already 18 years old." Lu Qin was afraid that she would be long-winded again, so he said to Fang Yun, "Mom, I made a sum of money from selling shares, so this time I came back to pay off all the family's debts." Clatter. The chopsticks in Fang Yun's hand fell on the table. She said in surprise, "What did you say?" She couldn't believe her ears. Lu Shi said softly, "Mom, it's true. Lu Qin has opened a company with others. Now the company is selling shares in value. The money earned can not only pay off our debts, but also redeem our villa." Fang Yun was completely speechless. At that time, Lu Qingxing borrowed 15 million yuan from his relatives and friends because of business difficulties. Later, he went bankrupt and only paid back 5 million yuan, leaving her and her 3 children with a huge debt of nearly 10 million yuan. Fang Yun gritted her teeth and shouldered this debt. She used to think that her family wouldn't be able to pay off the debt in their lifetime. She didn't expect that Lu Qin would suddenly embark on the path of an entertainment star after going to Beijing for a year, and remitted more than 2 million yuan. Now there was still 7 million in debt. Lu Shi knew the situation. Now, Lu Shi actually said that she could pay it all off and redeem the villa that had been taken away by the bank. How much did Lu Qin earn? Fang Yun really can't believe it, it's as unreal as a dream. Lu Shui's thoughts were simple. She jumped up directly. "Really? We can move back." In that villa, there were the best memories of her life. Lu Qin touched his sister's head lovingly. "Of course it's true. We can go home." This had always been his dream. He originally thought that it would never be realized. Later, he firmly believed that it could be achieved in 2 or 3 years at most. Now, the clouds parted to see the moon. Chapter 209. Lu Qin sold a total of 41% of Mukin crowdfunding shares to Li Mushi, or the Li family. The total amount of the transaction was 25 million. Then after deducting taxes, lawyers' fees, notarization fees, and other miscellaneous fees, he finally got 17.5 million. This money was more than enough to pay off the debt, but to redeem his family's original villa, it really wasn't enough. Although Binhai was a fourth-tier county-level city, because it was located in the economically developed coastal area of eastern Zhejiang, the housing price was quite high. The average price was 15,000 plus, and buying a decent big house often cost 2 or 3 million. And the villa that the Liu family had originally taken away by the bank, in the best Jingsheng district in Binhai City, the current market price was definitely more than 10 million, conservatively estimated to be about 12 million. So when he came back this time, Lu Chen asked Lu Shi to transfer another sum of money from the studio's account. He almost emptied the account. But this villa that originally belonged to the Liu family, he must take it back. In that big house, there were too many joys and sorrows that belonged to this family, as well as countless memories. Before, Lu Chen couldn't do anything about it, but now that he had earned the money, he wouldn't let himself regret it. Fortunately, this house has not been auctioned off by the bank so far. The reason was not that the bank didn't want to sell it, but that the previous few auctions were unsuccessful. A villa of 12 million was not something that anyone could afford to sell casually. With this money, one could buy a very good house in Beijing. It was true that Binhai was rich, but the really rich didn't have to worry about a place to live. The most important thing was that the Liu family's business had an accident, and Liu Qingxing died of illness in the villa. For those who could afford it, it was undoubtedly a big taboo. As for the bank, the current real estate market was booming, and housing prices were rising. Naturally, they were unwilling to sell this rare property at a low price, so it was delayed. Otherwise, under normal circumstances, it should have been sold long ago, and it wouldn't have been Lu Chen's turn to redeem it. When Lu Chen checked the account with his mobile phone and showed the account balance to Fang Yun, she finally believed it. Fang Yun's heart was filled with emotions. She was pleasantly surprised and didn't know what to say. What made her happiest was not paying off the debt and redeeming the house, but that Lu Chen had truly grown up and could become the pillar that supported the Liu family. Fang Yun believed that Liu Qingxing's spirit in heaven could rest in peace. The corners of her eyes overflowed with tears of joy, excitement, and sadness. Seeing this, Lu Chen raised his glass and said, "Come. Let's have a toast and wish our family a brighter future." Lu Shua couldn't wait to raise her glass. Cheers! Fang Yun wiped her tears and raised her glass. Cheers! For crystal-clear wine glasses gently collided with each other, and the dark red wine rippled with fragmented light. He believed that the future would be even better. Lu Qin and Lu Shi lived in Binhai for 4 days, mainly to accompany Fang Yun to pay off the debt and redeem the house. Paying off the debt was actually very simple. The small part had already been paid off, and the rest were all large ones. They directly transferred the money with their mobile phones, and then sent a gift to express their gratitude. In the past few years, the Liu family had owed so much money, and there were only a few people who really came to the door to press for the debt. Everyone knew that the Liu family really couldn't pay off the debt, not that they didn't want to. Some creditors even gave up the idea of pursuing the debt. Now, it could be said that they had gained a pleasant surprise. The Liu family had finally come out of trouble. The process of redeeming the house was a little more troublesome, but the Liu family still had acquaintances in the bank. When the business was difficult, they couldn't help, but now it was much easier to redeem the house with money. On the 4th morning after Lu Chen returned to Binhai, he got the door key of the villa. The retransfer procedures were still being processed, but that was not the point. Returning to Jingsheng district and coming to the villa where he had lived for many years, Lu Chen's mood couldn't be described in words. Excitement, joy, and even a little timidity. Jingsheng district was the best district in Binhai city. Although it was built very early, whether it was the geographical location or the surrounding environment, it couldn't be compared to the newly developed real estate in recent years. Therefore, the housing prices here were very expensive. The price of second-hand houses was big, much higher than the new houses in other places. The Liu family single-family villa was purchased in 2002. At that time, it was considered cheap. It only cost a little more than 1 million. Including the renovation, the total cost was a little more than 2 million, and the area was 350 square meters. Lu Qin had lived in this house for a whole 10 years. He and Lu Shui could be said to have grown up in this villa, and they were very familiar with every grass and every tree. It was just that no one had taken care of it in the past 2 years. The private garden in front of the villa was full of weeds, climbing vines could be seen everywhere, and even the doors and windows showed signs of damage. Fortunately, the door could still be opened. A smell of old moldy dust hit him in the face. The furniture and furnishings in the living room were still there, all covered with dust-proof white cloth, including the piano that Lu Qin received as a gift on his 13th birthday. It seemed that time had frozen here. Everything brought countless memories to Lu Qin. Even if the ground was covered with a thick layer of dust, Fang Yun, Lu Shi, and Lu Shui, who came back with Lu Qin, were very happy. This was their real home. Lu Shui didn't care about the dirt and dust. She quickly ran up the stairs and rushed to her room. A string of laughter like silver bells sprinkled down. Lu Qin smiled and said, "Mom, I think it's better to redecorate it first. It's simple and doesn't cost a lot of money." Fang Yun's idea was to find someone to clean it. After all, they had spent too much money recently, and it was better to save as much as possible. She shook her head and said, "Let's talk about it later." Lu Qin gave Lu Shi a look and let her sister persuade his mother. He went straight to the piano, lifted the white cloth, and sat down on the piano stool. Lifting the cover, Lu Qin gently pressed the piano keys. This piano had been bought for nearly 10 years. In fact, he rarely practiced it, and it was just a big toy. Now the sound of the piano was still the same, but the people had changed. After sitting up straight, Lu Qin began to play seriously. At this moment, here, he had a song he wanted to sing to his mother and his late father. His mother who gave everything for this family. "You leave quietly, step by step, lonely figure. I want to accompany you, tell you how much I love you in my heart. Flowers bloom quietly, in the night when I suddenly miss you. I want to tell you, in fact, you have always been my miracle. Year after year, the wind and frost cover your smile, who else can understand your lonely heart? Is it spring flowers and autumn moon heartless, spring leaves and autumn comes, your love is silent. You give me all your love, you give me the world, from then on, I don't know the pain and joy in your heart. I want to be close to you, nestling in your warm and lonely arms, tell you that I have always understood you. I want to tell you, your loneliness and my heartache are together." The name of this song was Understand You. In Lu Qin's dream world, it was an episode of a movie. It expressed the child's nostalgia and love for his parents. The wind and frost of the fleeting years mercilessly dyed the mother's black hair white. Year after year, spring leaves and autumn comes, winter comes and summer comes. The children are fully fledged and have a sky of their own, but also exhausted most of the mother's life. The white hair and frost on the temples could not cover her smile. It was the mother's life that only knew, give me all your love, give me the world, without a trace of enjoyment. The mother was used to silent dedication, and she never thought about repaying. And when the children let go of their dreams, have they ever forgotten to walk into their mother's heart and understand the world of their mother's mind? When the family changed and his father died of illness, Lu Qin seemed to fall into the dust overnight. At that time, he had hatred and resentment. At that time, Lu Qin did not understand why Fang Yun wanted to bear all the huge debts by herself. In the traditional view, when a person dies, the debts disappear. After all, it was Lu Qingxing who wrote the IOU. But now Lu Qin has fully understood that Fang Yun chose to face and bear all this because she did not want the Lu family to bear the stigma of ingratitude. She did not want her father to be cursed and hated after his death. She was telling herself that a person should know how to be grateful and stick to morality and conscience. Thinking back to those relatives and friends who received the debts, the joy and relief on their faces, he really understood. Fong Yun and Lu Shi stood side by side in the living room, quietly listening to Lu Qin play and sing this song. They had never heard it before, but they both understood the lyrics. Fong Yun smiled, but her tears couldn't stop flowing down, wetting her clothes little by little. She knew that Lu Qin sang this song for her. She felt that all the efforts of her life had been repaid at this moment. Clap! 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 When Lu Qin finished playing the last note, applause suddenly came from the gate. No one knew when, but a lot of people gathered at the gate, and they were all the neighbors of the Lu family. They had lived in the house for about the same time as the Lu family, and they had known the Lu family for a long time. They had a good relationship with each other and knew the changes that the Lu family had gone through. Everyone thought that the Lu family would never come back, but they did not expect to see them again. Everyone was attracted by the sound of the piano and Lu Chen singing. The villa, which had been quiet for several years, suddenly became lively. Fong Yun and Lu Shi greeted the neighbors with a smile, telling them that they had redeemed the house and would soon move back. Of course, the neighbors congratulated them warmly. It was really not easy for the Lu family to turn around. And Lu Chen, who had become a celebrity in Binhai, naturally received the most attention. There was even someone who wanted to be a matchmaker for him on the spot, selling him the daughters and nieces of the 7th aunt and the 8th aunt. In this regard, Lu Chen could only run away. The next day, October 18th, he and Lu Shi took the high-speed train to Hangzhou. They were going to perform that night. Note, understand you, lyrics, Huang Xiaomao / composer, Shui Rui Guang. As long as a lot of celebrities were invited, it was very common to roll out a red carpet at a brand promotional event and invite media reporters to take photos to create a gimmick. Everyone was already used to it. The Shizi Cultural Festival concert was no exception. Nearly 30 stars could support a red carpet show. Of course, the prestige of walking the red carpet had dropped, but the basic rules had never changed. That was to sort them according to their status. The one with the highest status would go first. Lu Qin was lined up in the 12th car with another female star, Bai Wei, walking the red carpet with him. Bai Wei was an actress. She had been in the industry for 5 or 6 years and had appeared in many TV shows. Lu Chen's impression of her was that of a supporting actress in an urban TV series. She was pretty and had good acting skills. The man was not very famous, but he had a rather cold temper. After he sat in the car, he nodded at Lu Qin as a greeting. He did not respond to the latter's polite greeting. He scrolled through his mobile phone. Since the other party's attitude is cold, of course, Lu Qin will not ask for a snub and stick his hot face to someone else's cold butt. It was just that the atmosphere in the car was a little awkward. Fortunately, it was very close to the stadium from the hotel he stayed in, so he did not have to wait too long. The welcome car that Lu Qin took stopped steadily at the beginning of the red carpet. The on-site staff in black suits helped open the door, and Lu Qin immediately got out of the car. Caw! 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 The flashes from the surrounding flashed instantly, which made him more or less startled. There were simply too many people. The red carpet in front of Lu Qin to the main entrance of the stadium was almost 50 meters long, which was of a very high standard. The two sides of the red carpet passage were separated by security fences. Behind the fences, there were countless people. There were also fluorescent signs held high, shining with the names of different star artists. Naturally, there were many reporters and photographers in the crowd. Long and short cameras were everywhere, and there were countless camera phones. Walking on the red carpet really made people's blood boil. It was as if all the glory was gathered in one person, and it was a great sense of accomplishment. Bai Wei's attitude in the car was cold, but when she started to walk on the red carpet, she seemed to be a completely different person. She smiled like a spring breeze, and from time to time, she stopped to make a pose, showing off her Hermes dress. That night, Lu Chen dressed very formally. An Armani suit set off his perfect figure, and with his confident and calm posture, he also attracted a lot of attention from the cameras. This suit was picked out for him by Lu Shi last night. His sister had good taste. Although they were walking the same red carpet, Lu Chen and Bai Wei actually walked their own paths. They minded their own business. There was at least a meter between the two of them, so safe that there would be no gossip. Lu Chen. Lu Chen. Just as Lu Chen walked more than half the distance, he suddenly heard someone shouting his name. He couldn't help but turn his head and see several female fans trying to squeeze in front of the fence. Ignoring the scolding of the security guards, they shouted at him excitedly, "Lu Chen, I love you." Lu Chen was stunned at first, and then he was a little moved. These fans were very young, probably girls who were still in school. They were all squeezed in the crowd, and their hair and clothes were messy. They looked quite embarrassed, but they still tightly held the fluorescent signs with Lu Chen's name in their hands. They waved at him with all their might. Without hesitation, Lu Chen walked straight to them and said with a smile, "Hello." "Ah!" Several girls suddenly screamed in surprise, their faces flushed with excitement. One of the girls stammered, Lu Chen, can I have your autograph?" Lu Chen said with a smile, "Of course, do you have a pen? Where do you want to sign?" The girls didn't expect that not only did they summon Lu Chen, but also Lu Chen's attitude was so kind. They were also prepared. Not only did they immediately take out their autograph pens, but they also lifted their t-shirts. "Sign here, sign here." Lu Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but he still satisfied their request and signed his name on the t-shirt. After signing, several girls became bolder and asked for a group photo. Mr. Lu Chen, unfortunately, the security guards who maintained order at the scene had objections because many people were crowding over here. Lu Chen quickly made an apologetic gesture and then quickly returned to the red carpet. He could only let these girls down. On such an occasion, he could interact with the fans closely, but he must not stay too long. Otherwise, it would be easy to get into trouble. It was also because his status was not high enough that he could sign. If it were Li Xing, he would probably be killed. So sometimes it was not that the stars deliberately put on airs, but for safety reasons. After walking the red carpet smoothly, Lu Chen walked to the welcome desk and left his name on the autograph wall. Then there were reporters taking photos and a simple interview with Zhejiang Satellite TV. The person in charge of interviewing the stars was a program host of Zhejiang Satellite TV, named Tian. The host graduated from Media University of China and joined the satellite TV for only a year. Because of her beautiful voice, she became a well-known female anchor. The music and food program she hosted had quite high ratings, and she was very popular on the internet. She was known as the first beautiful host of Zhejiang Satellite TV. Tian was very young. In terms of appearance and temperament alone, she was better than several second-tier and third-tier female stars on the scene. Especially when she smiled, two shallow dimples appeared on her cheeks. When it was Lu Chen's turn, she first shook hands with Lu Chen generously, and then asked, "Lu Chen, everyone knows that you are from Binhai, and you are still a university student in Hangzhou. How do you feel about going back to your hometown to sing on stage this time?" Lu Chen smiled and said, "I'm very happy to be able to sing for my fellow countrymen in Hangzhou. Tonight, I will try my best to sing to my best level and promise not to let everyone down." Walking the red carpet and taking photos and interviews were all arranged by the organizing committee, including the questions raised by the female host. Lu Chen could just read the answers he had prepared in advance. Tian said with a smile, Then I wish you a success in singing tonight, and I hope to hear your singing here in the future. Lu Chen nodded, thank you. After the interview, the big photo of the stars was also completed, and the staff on the scene began to guide everyone to the staff passage. The staff passage led to the backstage dressing room in the stadium, and the time for the official performance was coming. The host, Tian, followed the staff in front, followed by the cameraman, and then Lu Chen and two other artists, who walked down the stairs together. At this time, in the crowd of onlookers more than 10 meters away, a man suddenly jumped over the security fence and jumped into the forbidden zone, while the security guard was not on guard. The man was wearing a dark brown windbreaker and a mask on his face. He was originally holding a fluorescent card in his hand, but when he jumped over the fence, he directly threw it away and rushed straight over. While running, the man took out a glass bottle from his pocket and skillfully unscrewed the cap. His eyes were fixed on Tian, and there was a crazy flame in his eyes. Because it happened so fast, it was not until the man in the windbreaker rushed to within 4 or 5 meters of Tian that the star artists who had just walked down the welcome stage reacted. Exclamations and screams rang out at the same time. The staff member who was walking at the front was scared out of his wits. He instinctively stepped back. He just hit the cameraman. The scene was in chaos. Chapter 2:11. Even if you haven't eaten pork, you've seen pigs running. No one present had a low IQ. The man in the jacket was menacing. He wore a mask and had a fierce look in his eyes. He held a glass bottle in his hand, which instantly made everyone have a terrible association: sulfuric acid disfigurement. It was not uncommon for sulfuric acid disfigurement to occur because of emotional disputes or other grievances. Moreover, there were victims among the artists in the entertainment industry. The intention of this man was already very obvious. It was because of distinguishing the malice of the other party that everyone felt extraordinarily terrible. The stories that they used to see in the news were about to happen in front of them. How could they not be afraid? Therefore, whether it was those who had just walked down the stage or those who were walking up the stairs, whether it was men or women, almost all of them screamed in fear and involuntarily took a few steps back, trying to avoid the disaster that might befall them. Even if they were not the target, being accidentally injured would be a great disaster, and even lead to the destruction of their future. It was human nature to seek advantages and avoid disadvantages. The people on and off the stage were in chaos in an instant. Tian, who was stared at by the man in the jacket, had a blank mind. Intuition told her that the other party was coming for her, and what he held in his hand was sulfuric acid that could cause disfigurement. She should run away immediately. However, Tian was so shocked and scared that she couldn't move. She could only watch as the other person waved his arm and splashed the liquid in the glass bottle at her. It's over. Tian closed her eyes helplessly. But the terrible disaster did not fall on her. At this critical moment, a black suit jacket flew through the air and blocked in front of Tian, catching the liquid spilled out of the glass bottle. It was Lu Chen who saved Tian. The only one who could remain calm at the scene here was Lu Chen. Just now, when the man in the jacket jumped over the railing and rushed over, he felt that something was wrong. When others retreated to dodge, Lu Chen suddenly stretched out his arms, arched his back, and clenched his fists. The Armani suit worth more than 10,000 yuan was instantly shaken off his body. This move was called Overlord's armor removal. It was used to escape when the clothes on the body were caught by the opponent. The reason Lu Chen threw off his clothes was because he saw his opponent trying to injure Tian. He definitely couldn't use his own body to block it. Lu Chen's reaction was extremely fast. The Overlord strip armor could also be said to be exquisite, blocking all the liquid. Sizzle. When the liquid spilled by the man in the jacket collided with the suit, it was immediately absorbed by the material and fell to the ground. Under the violent corrosion, it sizzled and emitted white smoke. There was a choking smell in the air. Sure enough, it was sulfuric acid, and it was a very concentrated sulfuric acid. If one were to be splashed on the face, disfigurement would be considered a light punishment. If it was serious, it could be fatal. After shaking out his suit, Lu Chen kept rushing forward, put his backhand around the willow waist of Tian Tian, who was as dumb as a wooden chicken, and protected her behind him. He was facing the perpetrator himself. The man in the jacket didn't expect Lu Chen to appear halfway and destroy his plan. He was obviously stunned and immediately retracted his hand and grabbed into his pocket, trying to grab something out. But Lu Chen's movements were faster. As soon as his front foot landed on the ground, he lifted his back foot, twisted his waist sideways and made a beautiful side spin kick, hitting the man's neck. Boom! Lu Chen hated the other party's cruelty and shamelessness, so he used enough strength in this kick and immediately kicked the man in the jacket down and he fell heavily to the ground. At the same time, several security personnel, as if awakened from a dream, flew over and pressed the man in the jacket to the ground. In fact, the latter had been knocked out by Lu Chen's kick. Countless flashes lit up, and the reporters on the scene and onlookers who reacted were taking pictures. Something big happened. Lu Chen withdrew his leg and turned to Tian Tian and said, "It's all right." The beautiful host's face was pale to the extreme, and her eyes were dazed. Obviously, she hadn't recovered from the state of fear, and her whole body was trembling involuntarily. Lu Chen held her hand and said in a serious tone, "It's really all right. You don't have to be afraid, wow." Before Lu Chen finished speaking, Tian Tian suddenly threw herself into his arms and cried loudly. In an instant, his arms were full of warmth and softness. Lu Chen, he hugged her and wanted to push her away, but the other party held on tightly, so he couldn't push her away. As a result, he hesitated for a moment, and he didn't know how many photos were taken. This incident, Lu Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and he was also a little scared. If his reaction was half a second slower, the bottle of sulfuric acid would most likely have been poured on Tian Tian. So he could still understand the other party's feelings. But holding on like this was not a good thing. Fortunately, Tian Tian quickly came to her senses and quickly let go of Lu Chen, sobbing, "Thank you." She was really very grateful to Lu Chen. At this time, a large number of security personnel and staff rushed over, and the scene was even more chaotic. Tian Tian's colleagues also came, comforting her and quickly taking her away from the scene. And Lu Chen, together with other star artists, entered the stadium under the guidance of the staff. What happened just now was so shocking that many people were still in shock. They were not in the mood to put on makeup and prepare for the performance backstage. Everyone took out their mobile phones to make calls or send messages. Lu Shi, who had been backstage for a long time, asked in surprise, "Little Chin, what happened?" At this time, the backstage was really a scene of doomsday. Lu Chen said with a wry smile, "Don't mention it." He told his sister what had just happened. There was no need to hide it. It was estimated that it would not take long for the whole country to know. The organizer had lost face. Even whether the concert could be held smoothly in the evening was estimated to be a bit of a problem. After listening to it, Lu Shi's face turned pale and she said angrily, "You are too bold. You dare to go up like this." She couldn't imagine the consequences of Lu Chen's accident. Lu Chen explained, "I can't watch others be harmed, can I?" In fact, at that time, Lu Chen didn't think too much about it. No matter who the other party was, he would come forward to help. "That's also," Lu Shi nodded, "that person is terrible." She was also a woman, so she understood the result of being disfigured. She sympathized with Tian Tian and hated the assailant even more. She should be sentenced to death. Lu Chen couldn't help laughing. It was impossible to sentence her to death. He just didn't know what the motive of the other party was. "Excuse me, are you Lu Chen?" At this time, a group of people came over in a crowd. The leaders were a handsome man and a beautiful woman. They were the two biggest artists of tonight's concert, Li Xing and Lu Zhonghan. Beside and behind the two were assistants and several other star artists. Everyone looked at Lu Qin with admiration in their eyes. Lu Qin quickly stood up and said, "Hello, Sister Li, Brother Lu. I'm Lu Qin." Lu Zhonghan was nearly 40 years old, but he took good care of himself. He looked like he was in his 20s. His appearance was very handsome, a little mixed race, but he was a little short. He took the initiative to extend his hand to Lu Qin. "It was really thanks to you just now. You are very good at martial arts." At the time of the accident, Lu Zhonghan was on the welcome stage and saw the whole process clearly. He admired Lu Qin very much. Li Xing said with a smile, "Xiao Lu is very brave." She didn't see the incident happen with her own eyes, but after listening to others, she also had a lingering fear. Such a thing was terrible, and she also had a lot of crazy fans. Lu Qin said modestly, "You flatter me too much. I was also hot-headed. Now that I think about it, I feel scared." Everyone laughed, and the atmosphere became a lot more relaxed. Li Xing said with a smile, "Xiao Lu is very modest. In fact, no one wants to see such a thing happen. Now the situation is a little troublesome, but we artists who come to perform can't mess up. So I discussed it with Brother Zhonghan and suggested that everyone keep calm and finish the performance well. Otherwise, we will be sorry to the audience." Lu Qin said, "I absolutely support it." With the two big names, Li Xing and Lu Zhonghan, coming forward to preside over the overall situation, and the high-level organizers also rushed over, the people in the backstage dressing room quickly stabilized. Not long after, people from the Hangzhou Municipal Government, Zhejiang Satellite TV and the Hangzhou Police arrived. As the person involved, Lu Qin also made a statement to the police. The party was delayed for half an hour, but all the programs were performed on stage. Lu Qin appeared at 9:27 and sang, "You Who Sat Next to Me," and "The Brightest Star in the Night Sky," which were two famous songs, and won warm applause from the audience. Especially, "You Who Sat Next to Me," when he sang to the climax, many audience members also sang along. Overall, the performance process was uneventful, and everything went smoothly. But at the same time, on the internet, there was a ruckus. Because there were too many onlookers at the scene, the whole process of the assault of the man in the jacket and Lu Chen's interception was completely filmed, and there was more than one section. A large number of videos and photos quickly appeared on blogs, forums, post bars and QQ groups, and then spread like a virus, causing countless netizens to discuss it, and various conspiracy theories emerged one after another. Some people speculated that Tian had offended someone and was being retaliated against. Some people vowed that the murderer was her ex-boyfriend, and that the acid was thrown because of emotional disputes, but others said that Tian had no boyfriend at all. In short, before the police announced the results of the investigation, there were all kinds of theories. This matter quickly became a hot topic on blogs, and many people in the entertainment industry came forward to condemn the assailant. They believed that tomorrow's entertainment headlines would not be able to escape. And Lu Qin, who tried to save her, was suddenly pushed to the forefront of the struggle. Chapter 212. Before the beginning of the Internet era, even if the means of communication had been very developed, the transmission of information still had great limitations, and it could easily be controlled by the authority and could not be spread out. If an earth-shattering event happened in a certain place, and if the news was controlled, and the TV stations and newspapers did not report it, people in other places would often be ignorant. But the rise of the Internet has changed everything. Even if the media control still exists, in today's era, a rooster laying an egg in a remote mountain village thousands of miles away is very likely to appear in blogs and forums on the same day, and be known by people all over the world. This is the power of the internet. Recently, the domestic entertainment industry has been a bit calm. Since Wang Bin was arrested for drug involvement, except for the Daily Star quarrels and gossip hype, there was basically no topic that people could talk about. However, on the evening of October 18th, in front of the Westlake Stadium in Hangzhou, Lu Chen's side spin kick directly kicked out a big news, which shocked the news and public opinion circle that had been silent for a long time. The most intense reaction was undoubtedly the Waves blog, which has hundreds of millions of users. Only 10 minutes after the assailant was subdued, the first live video was posted on the blog. Then more and more photos and new videos swarmed in, accompanied by all kinds of exaggerated and frightening titles, as if a ladle of cold water had been poured on boiling oil, and it suddenly exploded. And among them, there were many official V of entertainment media, adding fuel to the fire. Without any prearranged hype, this matter was hyped up by countless people, attracting a large number of star artists in the entertainment industry to comment and forward. Under normal circumstances, these artists would not be free promoters of others, but this incident was too bad, and the culprit was targeting people in the industry. Everyone could not help but feel a common hatred for the enemy, and were willing to voice their opinions. While condemning the assailant, many artists were also questioning the security measures at the scene. No one wanted the same thing to happen to them. Tian was lucky that someone happened to help her. What if Lu Chen was not present at the time, or was further away? The consequences were unimaginable. With these star artists with a large number of fans joining the topic, the keywords were quickly pushed to the home page. The beautiful host of Zhejiang Satellite TV was almost disfigured by sulfuric acid. Was it a personal grudge or an emotional dispute? The hero saves the beauty. Young singer Lu Chen takes off his clothes to block the sulfuric acid and kills the assailant with a flying kick. Exclusive reveal: the inside story of the beautiful host of Zhejiang Satellite TV being splashed with acid. Too handsome. Look at the style of this kick. There are pictures to prove it. Who is Lu Chen? The ones who were the most excited were undoubtedly Lu Chen's fans. They learned about what had happened in Hangzhou City through different channels, and all of them worshipped Lu Chen. Thousands of fans have used computers and mobile phones to comment on blogs, forums, post bars and QQ groups. Brother Chen is mighty. Not only is he handsome, but he can also sing. Not only can he sing, but he can also create original songs. Not only can he create original songs, he can also fight. How are others supposed to live? From today onwards, I'm a true fan of Lu Chen. Don't stop me. I've watched this video 10 times. The more I watch, the more excited I get. Hee, look at the performance of the others and you'll know how amazing our boss is. Yes, Lu Chen is a real man. The video that was most forwarded and commented on the blog was 2 minutes and 17 seconds long. This video should have been shot by a professional camera. Not only was the picture very clear and stable, but the camera angle was also excellent, recording the whole process of the incident from beginning to end. Through this video, everyone saw how the assailant climbed over the safety fence and rushed over. They could see the action of him taking out the sulfuric acid bottle and opening it. At the same time, they could also see the reactions of the people around him. Some were screaming, some were dodging, some were retreating, and some were stunned in place. Only Lu Chen, and only Lu Chen, did not show fear in the face of danger, and showed a high degree of calmness. He first threw out his suit with an almost inconceivable action, stopping the sulfuric acid that the assailant had spilled. Then he stepped forward to protect Tian behind him and kicked the assailant, who tried to continue to attack, to the ground, completing a wonderful and incomparable killing move. Although the video was more than 2 minutes long, in fact, the core content was only a few seconds. In this process, the bravery and fearlessness that Lu Chen displayed, as well as his outstanding skills, were truly admirable. In the domestic and foreign film and television circles, there is no shortage of action stars, but few action stars have shown such strong strength in reality, not to mention Lu Chen's identity as a singer. In particular, his most critical action of throwing off his suit has attracted countless netizens to talk about it. How do you think Lu Chen did it? I tried it myself, but I couldn't throw it off at all. There is no doubt that this is one of the top 10 most handsome scenes of the year. This move is called cicada shedding. You naturally don't understand it. This is ancient martial arts. Do you know what ancient martial arts are? Ancient martial arts, my ass. I think you read too many online novels, but it is really handsome. Don't say it. I must practice this move and use it to save a beauty in the future. Hee, then you have to find someone to throw sulfuric acid first. What a pity, an Armani suit worth tens of thousands is enough for me to eat for a year. The person above is an idiot. Everyone, ignore him. With the increase in the number of comments, Lu Chen's fans and Waves blog showed an explosive growth. There were also those who benefited from it, such as Senki Clothing. This company, which focused on young sports brands, took the opportunity to post the commercial that Lu Chen had shot not long ago on their official V, specifically stating that Lu Chen did not use a stunt double during the shooting process, which also attracted a lot of attention. When Lu Chen finished the performance and returned to the hotel where he stayed, Lu Shi's mobile phone was exploding with calls. Some relatives and friends called to inquire, and some media asked for an interview. Most of the calls were handled by Lu Shi, but some calls, Lu Chen had to reply to them himself. Big hero, you are so powerful. Sitting on the soft big bed in the hotel room, listening to the beautiful voice coming from the phone, Lu Chen felt a little itchy in his heart, as if something was going to drill out of his ears. He said with a wry smile, "Sister Fei, this call was from Chen Fei, She was now in Beijing, but she had already heard the news. Chen Fei, smiled softly and said, I mean it. Everyone says that you are very brave. If it weren't for you, then Tian would really be destroyed. At the last sentence, her voice became a little heavy. Crazy fans are the most terrible. As a heavenly queen who has been in the industry for more than 10 years, Chen Fei has countless fans, and naturally, there is no lack of unusual existences. All star idols have been harassed by fans more or less, and there have been some outrageous things that have happened. It's just that a situation like tonight is very rare. Lu Chen was sensitive. Are you sure that person is a fan? Chen Fei said, the murderer has confessed. He is a fan of Tian. He wrote many letters to Tian, but he didn't get any response. Some time ago, he was detained for breaking into the TV station to woo her, so he holds a grudge. So that's how it is. Lu Chen suddenly understood. He didn't doubt the source of Chen Fei's information. The latter's status and connections in the circle were not something he could compare with. Chen Fei continued, Tian is really scared this time. Maybe she will retreat behind the scenes. Lu Chen was stunned. You and her. Chen Fei explained, yes, I have known Tian for a long time. She is my little sister. The entertainment circle can be said to be big, but it can also be said to be small. Two people who originally seemed to be in different worlds may have some kind of connection, which is complicated and extensive. Chen Fei said with a smile, I guess Tian will come to thank you in person. She is so beautiful and a top student, and she has never had a boyfriend. You saved her, so you have a chance to pursue her. Do you want me to help you? Although it was a joking tone, it was a bit serious. Lu Chen blurted out, I already have someone I like. Chen Fei was surprised. Who is it? Lu Chen regretted saying it out loud. He didn't answer and just stayed silent. But silence was the answer. Some words actually didn't need to be said. After a while, Chen Fei should have understood something. The Heavenly Queen said in a panic, "Ah, I have something to do. I'll hang up first. Talk to you later." Without waiting for Lu Qin to answer, she hurriedly hung up the call. Lu Qin held the phone with a busy tone and smiled bitterly. The relationship between him and Chen Fei was a bit complicated. They met because of a reality show and became friends because of music. Lu Qin knew that Chen Fei had a good impression of him. This good impression may have the friendship of a sister to a younger brother, but there was also a different meaning, just like the title song, Not Yet Lovers, he wrote for MSN. Lu Qin also knew that he also had a good impression of Chen Fei. He wouldn't deceive himself. But was it really possible between the two of them? Lu Qin was a little at a loss. He suddenly felt something strange and couldn't help but raise his head. He saw Lu Shi standing at the door of the room looking at him. There was a sneer on her face, as if to say, "I caught you." Lu Qin broke into a cold sweat. Sister. He lived in a luxury business suite with 2 bedrooms, so he lived with his sister. Obviously, the conversation between him and Chen Fei, just now was heard by Lu Shi. Lu Shi didn't tease Lu Qin and said, "There is something you must pay attention to. It's very important." Her expression was very serious. Lu Qin couldn't help but get serious. He straightened up and asked, "What's the matter?" "This matter is related to one of your fans." Chapter 213. Without any accident, the entertainment headlines of the major media the next day were occupied by the sulfuric acid incident. The beautiful host of Zhidong Satellite TV, the crazy fans, and the brave Good Samaritan with extraordinary skills, all of them attracted everyone's attention. Overnight, the blog fans of Lu Qin, as the person involved, soared to more than 9 million. At the same time, the Hangzhou police also timely announced the results of the investigation of the case, basically confirming that this was an attempted malicious injury caused by personal reasons, and the perpetrator will be severely punished by the law. Hangzhou's local, City Express, also further revealed in its news headlines that the perpetrator was unemployed. Last night's action was carefully planned by him, and he had also stepped on the spot in advance and was very well prepared. The perpetrator's mentality had been distorted. He not only wanted to destroy Tian, but also wanted to make big news. Tian was one of the hosts of the party. It could be imagined how big a sensation it would cause if she had an accident in front of everyone. In addition to the concentrated sulfuric acid purchased from a special channel, the perpetrator also carried a controlled knife, but was stopped by Lu Qin in time, and did not cause a tragedy. While strongly condemning the perpetrator, the City Express also praised Lu Qin's bravery, calling him the pride of the men of Zhidong, and did not hesitate to praise him. This made Lu Qin, who saw the newspaper when he got up to eat breakfast in the morning, feel very ashamed. The trouble was that a lot of media reporters came to the hotel where Lu Qin stayed, all of whom wanted to interview him. They were temporarily blocked in the hall by the hotel security. Lu Shi said with a smile, "Are you considered to have become famous with a kick?" Lu Qin was speechless. At this time, the door of the living room was knocked lightly. "Ha!" Lu Shi was a little surprised, because she had already told the hotel that she didn't want to be disturbed, especially by reporters. Lu Shi went over and opened the door. She saw a group of people standing at the door, and Tian was among them. The well-known female anchor of Zhidong Satellite TV had a haggard face, her eyes were swollen like walnuts, and the dark circles under her eyes looked like smoky makeup, but it couldn't hide her natural beauty, giving people a feeling of pitifulness. There were men and women who came with her, old and middle-aged, and a policewoman in uniform. The ingredients seemed to be very complicated. Seeing Lu Shi opening the door, Tian was stunned and asked cautiously, "Excuse me, is Mr. Lu Qin here?" Lu Shi smiled and said, "Yes, please come in." She understood Tian's feelings very well. Any girl who encountered such a thing might not be able to perform better. This female streamer probably didn't even sleep last night. Thank you. Tian thanked him politely and asked as she walked into the room, "May I ask who you are?" Lu Shi explained, "I'm Lu Chen's agent, Lu Shi, and also his sister." Tian quickly said, "Hello, Sister Lu Shi." Lu Shi smiled and said, "Hello, you're welcome. I'm Lu Chen." Lu Chen walked out of the bedroom and was surprised to see so many people in the living room. Tian stepped forward and bowed to him and said, "Mr. Lu Chen, I'm here to thank you." The female streamer handed over the paper bag in her hand at the same time. "This is the clothes for you as compensation." On the black bag, the Armani logo was very conspicuous. Lu Chen took it and said, "Call me Lu Chen." "Thank you. In fact, you don't have to take yesterday's matter to heart. You are Sister Faye's friend, so you are my friend. There is no need to be so polite between friends." A faint smile appeared on Tian's pale face. "This is what I should do." She said, "Let me introduce you." In addition to her assistant, Tian came to see Lu Chen together with Director Chen of Zhidong Satellite TV, two people in charge of the concert organizing committee and representatives of the Hangzhou police. They came with Tian in the morning. In addition to expressing their gratitude to Lu Chen, they also hoped that Lu Chen would not hype up this matter and minimize the negative impact. In addition to such things, Hangzhou has lost face in all aspects. At least there is a big problem with the security organization. Of course, Lu Chen agreed. First of all, he is from Zhidong, and he must give face to his hometown. Secondly, he doesn't need to use this matter to hype up. There is no need at all. The communication between the two sides was very pleasant. At the suggestion of Director Chen of Zhidong Satellite TV, Lu Chen, together with Tian and the police representative, directly borrowed a conference room in the hotel, invited all the reporters who were squatting under the hotel, and held a small press conference to face up to it. At this informal press conference, a reporter asked Lu Chen, "Mr. Lu Chen, what was your motive at that time to protect host Tian regardless of the danger? What were you thinking at that time?" This question was somewhat sinister, because on the internet, many people thought that Lu Chen risked his life because he wanted to be a hero to save the beauty, and also joked that the beauty's power was great. There were crazy fans, and there were brave heroes. Lu Chen answered very calmly, "If you ask me what I thought at that time, then I really didn't think too much at that time. Otherwise, I'm afraid you wouldn't see me sitting here with host Tian to answer your question." There was a soft laughter among the reporters. Lu Chen was right. At that time, things happened too suddenly. Even if he hesitated for half a second, the result would be different. Only an instinctive reaction could be so fast. It was really nonsense to say that Lu Chen wanted to be a hero to save the beauty. He had no time to think about it at all. Lu Chen added, "At that time, whether it was host Tian or anyone else, I would have stopped the assailant." The reporter from the Morning Post was unwilling to give up and asked, "Then what prompted you to do this?" Lu Chen smiled faintly and said, "It should be responsibility. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. Since I have the ability to stop evil, then I should have the corresponding responsibility." The reporter's eyes lit up. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. This sentence is good. There was applause in the conference room. Although it was not very warm, it was enough to show the attitude of the reporters present. Another reporter stood up and said, "Mr. Lu Chen, I'm a reporter from EasyNet. Many netizens are very curious. How did you take off your suit and throw it out at that time? Have you practiced martial arts before?" Lu Chen didn't hide it and explained, "I often exercise and practice martial arts. The move I use to throw my clothes is called armor removal by the Overlord." Armor removal by the Overlord. This name is really domineering and has a selling point. Many reporters quickly bowed their heads and typed on the keyboard, quickly entering the content of the interview. Today's press release has been published. After failing to dig out any inside story from Lu Chen, the reporters turned to another protagonist, Tian Tian. Tian Tian's mental state was not very good, but in the face of the reporters' various questions, she answered them very appropriately, showing the qualities that a show host should have. After all, she was half a peer and also a victim, so the reporters didn't make things difficult for her. Next, representatives of Zhejiang Satellite TV and the police also answered a lot of questions. After the impromptu press conference, Lu Chen and Lu Shi were ready to leave the hotel. Tian Tian originally wanted to invite the two to dinner to express her gratitude, but Lu Chen declined. He and his sister still had important things to do. He exchanged contact information with Tian Tian. After the end of his trip in Hangzhou, Lu Chen did not return to the capital immediately, but took the high-speed train to Ningguan. Ningguan was a prefecture-level city under Jiangsu province, only more than 200 kilometers away from Hangzhou. Therefore, it only took 40 minutes to get there by rail. After leaving the railway station, Lu Chen and Lu Shi stopped a taxi and went to the First People's Hospital in Ningguan. The two went to visit a fan of Lu Chen, whose name was Meng Meng. For thousands of Lu Chen's fans, perhaps not many people know the name Meng Meng, but her online name, Meng Meng, was a well-known ID in the fan group. Meng Meng often wrote some fresh articles and song reviews in blogs and forums. In addition, she was a girl, so she was pursued by many otaku fans. Lu Chen also read one of her song reviews and felt it was very interesting at that time. What Lu Chen didn't expect was that this girl who liked to dream actually got acute leukemia. Last night, when Lu Shi was looking through the mail, she found a letter from Meng Meng's classmate. In this letter, the classmate revealed Meng Meng's situation, saying that Meng Meng's situation was very bad and needed a lot of money to treat her. She was from a single-parent family, and the economic conditions of her family were completely insufficient to support the expensive medical expenses. Meng Meng's classmates and the school donated money to her, but it was still a long way from the full cost of the bone marrow transplant. The classmate was also helpless, so she sent a letter to Lu Chen for help. Tian, not sure if it's a good idea to get a bone marrow transplant. Meng Meng herself didn't know about this. At the end of the letter, Meng Meng's classmate also wrote Meng Meng's home address, contact phone number, and the hospital where she stayed for verification to prove that she was not a liar. After Lu Shi saw the email, she immediately told Lu Chen. So Lu Chen decided to change his itinerary and come to Ningguan to visit this seriously ill fan. He was willing to provide help as much as he could. It was really unexpected to encounter such a thing. Lu Chen knew very well that relying on his own strength alone, he couldn't help all the people who needed help. Once there was a precedent, there might be a lot of trouble in the future. For example, some real or fake fans would come to him for help. Most importantly, after paying off his family's debts and redeeming the house, he didn't have much money. But these were not the reasons why Lu Chen chose to avoid it. He couldn't watch one of his fans, a young girl, wither because of illness, just like he couldn't let Tian Tian be innocently hurt in front of him. A solution could always be found. As a man, there were things he shouldn't do and things he must do. Chapter 214. Su Province, the First People's Hospital of Ningguan City. In Ward 1207 of the Department of Hematology and Oncology, several girls were talking to Meng Meng around the bed. Meng Meng, who was wearing a hospital gown, looked a little pale, but she was in good spirits. She was talking and laughing with 3 classmates and friends. There was no sign of serious illness at all. It was just that the medical record hanging on the bed frame was clearly marked with the bold black font AL, acute leukemia, the English abbreviation for acute leukemia. The malignant cloning disease of hematopoietic stem cells used to be a terminal disease. Now that technology has advanced, there have been a variety of treatments for acute leukemia. The best effect is bone marrow transplantation, with a high cure rate. But the cost of treatment is also astonishingly high. Meng Meng's mother, Zhang Fang, was sitting in a chair not far from the bed. Although she had a smile on her face, there was sadness in her eyes that couldn't be concealed. She was completely forcing herself to smile. What worried Zhang Fang was the cost of Meng Meng's treatment. Even if she went bankrupt, plus the donations from Meng Meng's school and classmates, it would be a drop in the bucket compared to the huge treatment cost. Just in order not to make her daughter sad, she never dared to show her inner emotions. Knock. Knock. The door of the ward was suddenly knocked lightly, and someone pushed the door and came in. It was a man and a woman. The man was tall and wore a mask, revealing only a pair of eyes. The woman asked softly, "May I ask if Sister Meng Meng lives here?" The man was also carrying a fruit basket in his hand. "Are you looking for Meng Meng?" Zhang Fang was stunned, quickly stood up and said, "Yes, may I ask who you are?" The other party was very strange. In Zhang Fang's memory, there was no such person. Could it be a friend of Xiaomeng? However, Meng Meng and several girls also looked at the person with curious eyes. They didn't know him either. The woman said, "Hello, Auntie, we are here to visit Sister Meng Meng." The man walked to the front of Meng Meng's bed. He put down the fruit basket first, and then reached out to take off his mask. "Hello, Meng Meng." Seeing the man's true face, Meng Meng suddenly opened her eyes, and her round face was full of disbelief. She covered her mouth with her hand, completely dumbfounded. The three girls sitting by the bed were also dumbfounded. One of the girls in a green dress shouted excitedly, "Lu! Lu Chen!" "It's me," Lu Chen smiled and said, "It's me." "Hello." It was Lu Chen and Lu Shi who came to visit Meng Meng. They took the high-speed rail from Hangzhou to Ningguan and rushed directly to the First People's Hospital without eating. Meng Meng blinked her eyes, and big tears suddenly fell down. She was not sad, but too happy and surprised. Lu Chen sat down on the edge of the bed and said, "I received an email last night and knew that you were sick. I happened to be performing in Hangzhou, so I came to see you. Are you feeling better now?" Meng Meng nodded hard and suddenly opened her arms to hug Lu Chen tightly. "Brother Lu Chen." Lu Chen let her hold him, reached out and patted her on the back twice to express comfort. Zhang Fang finally understood that the person visiting her daughter was her idol. Lu Chen. Zhang Fang was very familiar with this name. Her daughter often mentioned it. She was even chatting with her classmate just now. This was a big star. Zhang Fang couldn't help but panic. She quickly pulled over a chair and said, "Sit down, sit down." Lu Shi pulled her and said, "Auntie, don't bother. I have something to talk to you about. Is it convenient for you?" Zhang Fang nodded again and again. "It's convenient." Meng Meng held Lu Chen for more than half a minute before she let go with a red face. She asked, "Brother Lu Chen, who sent you the email?" This was what Meng Meng was most curious about. Lu Chen thought for a moment and said, "She said she was your classmate. Her ID is Rain Elf." Meng Meng and the other two girls turned their heads to look at the girl in the green dress. The latter lowered her head and raised her hand. She said timidly, "I admit that I wrote the email to Brother Lu Chen." She raised her head again and looked at Lu Chen with bright eyes. "I didn't expect Brother Lu Chen to come." This was what the girl in the green dress was most touched about. She had just sent a letter for help last night. Meng Meng said, "Little you shouldn't have hidden it from us. If you do this, are we still good friends?" The girl in the green dress said with a bitter face, "Little Meng, I know I was wrong." Lu Chen couldn't help laughing. These girls, who were 18 or 19 years old, were at the best age of their lives. He was more and more determined to help Meng Meng. A girl said excitedly, I think little you has done a great thing. Otherwise, how can we see Brother Lu Qin in person? Hurry up, let's take a photo together. Meng Meng said with a smile, then you take a photo for me and Brother Lu Qin first. This small request, of course, Lu Qin unconditionally satisfied the four girls and took a lot of photos with them. He also took a few with his mobile phone. After taking the photos, Lu Qin asked about Meng Meng's condition again. Meng Meng's disease was temporarily under control. At present, conservative treatment was being used. If she wanted to be really cured, she would have to undergo many chemotherapy or bone marrow transplants. Speaking of this, Meng Meng's face added a little sadness. Lu Qin comforted her, Sister Meng Meng, you don't have to worry. If you have any difficulties, everyone will help you. What you have to do now is to cooperate with the doctor and treat the disease well, okay? Meng Meng nodded, okay, Brother Lu Qin, I'm really happy that you can come to see me. Lu Qin smiled. At this time, the door of the ward was pushed open again, and a white-haired old lady came in holding a child of about 3 or 4 years old. The former was still holding an intravenous drip in her hand. The needle was stuck in the wrist of the little patient. He opened his big black eyes and looked at Lu Qin curiously, and then climbed to the adjacent bed. Lu Qin saw that the old lady had some difficulty hanging the drip, so he quickly got up and helped her hang it on the hook beside the bed. The old lady was grateful, thank you. The little fellow asked, Sister Meng Meng, who is he? The little fellow had big eyes and a big head, but all his hair was shaved, and his skin was bare. He looked like a clever little monk. Meng Meng said with a smile, this is my idol, Brother Lu Qin. The little fellow asked, what's an idol? Meng Meng replied seriously, it's the person I admire the most, the person I like the most. The little fellow seemed to understand. Lu Qin thought he was very cute. He couldn't help but reach out and touch his head. How old are you? The little fellow replied cleverly, Ching Ching is 4 years old. Lu Qin glanced at his medical record and found that his illness was exactly the same as Meng Meng's. Meng Meng obviously liked the little fellow very much. She took out a big red apple from the fruit basket and stuffed it into his mouth. Such a small child. Lu Qin sighed secretly in his heart. He could see that the family situation of the little patient was not good. The old lady was dressed very simply. It was estimated that she could not afford the treatment fees like Meng Meng. There were too many people in the world who needed help. Lu Qin increasingly felt the weakness of personal strength. He had experienced the upheaval of his family, had experienced despair, and had worked hard to make a living, so he could understand the pain and bitterness of ordinary people when they faced difficulties. Now that Lu Qin had gotten rid of his predicament and realized his wish, he was willing to do his best to help others. Let's start with Meng Meng. After a few minutes, Lu Shi and Meng Meng's mother, Zhang Fang, came back together. There were still tears in the corners of Zhang Fang's eyes. Lu Shi nodded at Lu Qin. Lu Qin said to Meng Meng, Sister Meng Meng, I'm going back. You stay here and treat your illness well. If there's anything, you can call me. He left his private phone number to Meng Meng. Meng Meng was very reluctant, but she was very sensible and did not make things difficult for Lu Qin. Okay, goodbye, Brother Lu Qin. The other girls also said reluctantly, Goodbye, Brother Lu Qin. Goodbye, Lu Qin smiled and said to Zhang Fang, Goodbye, Auntie. Thank you. Zhang Fang's eyes overflowed with tears again, and she said excitedly, Thank you. Chapter 2:15. The crowdfunding website was established by Lu Qin himself, and it was his business idea from the dream world. Since the beginning of the website's establishment, Lu Qin has never thought of vigorously developing in this area. A few days ago, he smoothly transferred most of his shares to the Li family, and then retired behind the scenes. Now, Lee Mushy was really in charge of Mukin crowdfunding. As the founder, Lu Chen took tens of millions of earnings and 10% of the original shares, while Li Mubai was still a bitter business manager. Of course, what you get will inevitably be lost. After selling most of his shares, Lu Chen only had the right to suggest suggestions for the operation of the crowdfunding website. It was impossible to let the rising website only serve him. This time, Lu Chen wanted to carry out charity crowdfunding for Meng Meng through the crowdfunding website, so he must ask for help from Li Mushy. He was not worried that the latter would refuse such a request. Unexpectedly, Li Mushy not only agreed, but also treated it like a treasure. Charity crowdfunding. She asked Lu Chen with her eyes shining, "How did you come up with such a good idea?" Lu Chen was speechless. He just wanted to help Meng Meng, and didn't think of the impact on the crowdfunding website. However, Lu Chen already understood Li Mushy's idea. Li Mushy wanted to use this charity crowdfunding project to promote and publicize, and at the same time to enhance the popularity and reputation of the crowdfunding website, as well as a good reputation. In contrast, what was a few percent commission? With her shrewdness and the power of the Li family, it was estimated that she would inevitably use the media to hype it up. To put it bluntly, as long as it was properly operated, the crowdfunding website was likely to soar to the sky with the help of such a project. At that time, it would not be a problem for the valuation to increase several times. Lu Chen only thought about saving people, while Li Mushy thought about commercial interests. But he didn't have much aversion. Lu Chen didn't have moral cleanliness. If hype could save a life, what did it matter? Helping others on the premise of obtaining reasonable and legal benefits was actually better than helping others completely for free. It was more worthy of support. Li Mushy seemed to have seen through Lu Chen's thoughts and smiled. "Don't say that I'm cold-blooded and heartless. If this charity crowdfunding project can't be completed by then, I'll take care of the rest." Lu Chen admired, "Sister Mushy is wise." Li Mushy rolled her eyes and said, "Then ask your sister to help me." Lu Chen immediately interrupted her. "I'll send you the details of the charity crowdfunding project when I get back. Goodbye." This person really refused to give up his evil intentions. Lu Chen hurriedly ran away. He. Li Mushy looked at his fleeing figure and smiled like a blooming spring flower. Therefore, as a public figure, it is necessary to be cautious in giving love. If it is a catastrophic event, such as an earthquake, then it doesn't matter to donate more, but if it is for individuals, it must be controlled. Unless it is a completely undisclosed anonymous donation, it is enough to express one's heart. This point, people in the entertainment industry basically understand, and if they don't understand, there will be people to teach them. Lu Chen used charity crowdfunding to help Meng Meng. A small part of the reason was that he was short of funds, but most of the reason was based on such common sense. The same is true for Chen Fei, who subscribed 50,000 yuan. Tan Hong had also raised 50,000 yuan, which was a great show of respect. Interestingly, Tian, who was certified as the host of Zhedong Satellite TV, subscribed 30,000 yuan. There is also the MSN girl group of Flying Stone Records, who also subscribed 20,000 yuan. In this kind of donation and love activity, there is a tacit unspoken rule in the circle, that is, the amount of donation is determined by one's status. The higher one's status, the more one will donate. If one's status is not high enough, donating more money than a big shot is actually a slap in the face. In this way, in addition to other star artists in the circle who have a relationship with Lu Chen or have little to do with him, they have actually supported more than 500,000 plus, directly reaching more than half of the fundraising goal. Most importantly, after the forwarding and support of these big celebrities, this charity crowdfunding project has been paid attention to by more and more people, triggering the so-called tidal effect. The number of users of the crowdfunding website is rising steadily, reaching or even exceeding the sum of the previous period in a few hours. And this is just the beginning. From the time Lu Chen posted his blog post at 7:00 in the evening to 12:00 in the short period of 5 hours, the number of support for the charity crowdfunding project on the crowdfunding website has exceeded 1 million. The goal that originally took 7 days to complete was completed in less than half a day. The official V of Lu Chen's fan group, the related post bars, forums, and fan groups are all in full swing. People's hearts are like a tide, and love is surging. Meng Meng is Meng Meng. I've read the article she wrote. I must support her. Sister Meng Meng has leukemia. If you can support her, go to the crowdfunding website to support her. Even 1 yuan will do. I supported 10 copies, the money for tomorrow's breakfast. The breakfast upstairs actually costs 10 yuan. It's too extravagant. I supported 20 yuan, the money for a day's meal. I wanted to change my cell phone, but I'll use the old one first. It's more important to save people. Lu Chen said it so well. As long as everyone gives a little love, the world will become a beautiful world. I supported 100 copies. Sister Meng Meng, come on. 50 copies. More and more people joined the ranks of support, and even caused the upgraded crowdfunding website to experience a brief lag. The traffic reached hundreds of times the usual. Such a situation made Lu Chen, the initiator, stunned. He underestimated his influence and underestimated the number of kind people. There are still many good people in the world. Lu Chen had to contact Li Mushi and change the original plan. When the amount of fundraising for the project exceeded 1.2 million, the crowdfunding website issued an announcement, saying that part of the funds would be withdrawn in advance to pay for Meng Meng's medical expenses and help her complete the operation as soon as possible. For a disease like Meng Meng's, the earlier the treatment time, the better the effect of postoperative recovery, and it cannot be delayed. As for the time of the charity crowdfunding project, it will not change. The extra funds will be used to donate to other leukemia patients who are also in Ningguan First People's Hospital and are in urgent need of help. At 12:45 that night, Lu Chen posted another blog post. In his new blog post, Lu Chen first thanked everyone inside and outside the circle for supporting this charity crowdfunding project, and at the same time, posted an audio. The content of the audio was a song he wrote for this charity event. The name of the song is Dedication of Love. This is the call of the heart, this is the dedication of love. This is the spring breeze of the world, this is the source of life. There is no more desert without heart, there is no more wilderness without love, even the god of death is deterred, the flowers of happiness are blooming everywhere. Ah, as long as everyone gives a little love, the world will become a beautiful world. Ah, as long as everyone gives a little love, the world will become a beautiful world. Ah, as long as everyone gives a little love, the world will become a beautiful world. This song was played by Lu Chen on the piano. There was no arrangement or accompaniment, and the singer was Chen Fei. It was not recorded in a professional recording studio. It was a hastily produced and synthesized work. But it was precisely this crudely produced song that touched countless people and made the next day's charity crowdfunding event reach a new peak. It did not decline because of the achievement of the expected goal. Dedication of Love, lyricist, Huang Qishir / composer, Lu Shizhao. Chapter 2:16. When the Meng Meng charity crowdfunding project went online, Lu Chen stayed in Mukin Crowdfunding Company. Under the control of Li Mushi, the new company has only been established for a month, and the number of employees has expanded to more than 100. The crowdfunding projects on the crowdfunding website have also soared from the initial 1 to dozens, showing vigorous vitality and vitality. But the protagonist of tonight's crowdfunding was undoubtedly the charity project proposed by Lu Chen. Mukin Crowdfunding Company gave strong support. And the effect of crowdfunding was beyond everyone's expectations. Seeing the amount of funds supported rising, the employees who stayed in the company to work overtime at night were stunned, and several technicians were even more busy and sweaty. The increase in data traffic was so fast that the server was a little overwhelmed. The number of registered members of the crowdfunding website has reached a surprising level. As the initiator, Lu Chen was surprised at first, and then moved. He had to contact Li Mushi and ask the CEO of the crowdfunding website to hurry back to the company. Things are getting a bit big. Li Mushi was socializing outside at this time. After receiving the news, she decisively came back to preside over the overall situation. She didn't expect such a situation. But the outstanding graduate of the Wharton School of Business knew very well how much this would promote Mukan crowdfunding. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Therefore, Li Mushi made a request to Lu Chen to continue this momentum. There was no problem in completing the Meng Meng charity crowdfunding. It was just that after the project funds reached the target, everyone's enthusiasm for support would inevitably drop big, which was what Li Mushi didn't want to see. She hoped that it would last for a few more days, so that the influence of the crowdfunding website would inevitably spread to more places and be known and understood by more people, which was equivalent to making a super advertisement. In business, Lu Chen could fully understand Li Mushi's idea. If it were him, he would probably do the same. So, Lu Chen proposed to expand the scope of the fundraising, not only to help Meng Meng, but to benefit more leukemia patients, such as Xiao Qingqing, who was in the same ward as Meng Meng. He knew very well that the crowdfunding website was not a real charity, and for such a charity crowdfunding campaign, the first time was undoubtedly the best. If it ended in a hurry, it would be a pity. Lu Chen thought of Xiao Qingqing and other leukemia patients in Ningguan First People's Hospital who were in urgent need of help, so he called Qin Fei. The cell phone was quickly connected, and it was Qin Fei himself who answered the phone. Lu Chen, what's the matter? Hearing the familiar voice on the phone, Lu Chen couldn't help smiling and said, Fei, thank you. He thanked Qin Fei, for her support. The latter's blog repost undoubtedly expanded the publicity effect. In contrast, the 50,000 yuan was a trivial matter. Qin Fei said with a chuckle, it's nothing. That's what I should do. Yesterday, Tian called me and said that you didn't give her a chance to thank you, and you couldn't even stay for a meal. Did you go to see the sick little girl? Her voice was as soft and melodious as ever, and it gently tugged at Lu Chen's heartstrings. Lu Chen said in a low voice, yes, Sister Fei, I have one more thing to ask you for help. Qin Fei asked curiously, what's the matter? Lu Chen replied, I want to ask you to sing a song for me, tonight. Lu Chen thought about it. If he wanted to expand this project, he must have a publicity hotspot to attract more people's attention and support. Asking Qin Fei to sing a song to thank his supporters was the best way he could think of. Of course, he was also relying on Qin Fei's popularity. If it were other big stars, without that friendship, it would undoubtedly be very presumptuous to make such a request. But Lu Chen and Qin Fei, he believed that this heavenly queen sister would definitely support him. Sure enough, Qin Fei was interested. What song? So, Lu Chen sent the song he had just written, Dedication of Love, to her through QQ. The two communicated by video through QQ. Lu Chen returned to his studio, recorded the piano he had just purchased not long ago, and then synthesized Qin Fei singing together. This was a completely amateur approach, just like two friends who were bored playing and singing, using a microphone to record and synthesize for fun. It just saved the trouble of professional recording, and the final product was undoubtedly very rough. However, Qin Fei found it very interesting, and she was also surprised by Lu Chen's work. The lyrics of Dedication of Love were simple and easy to understand. The melody was soothing and warm, but the theme was very lofty, even with a strong theme style. It was perfect to match this charity crowdfunding event. What made Chen Fei deeply impressed was Lu Chen's talent in music creation. This song was obviously not a work that had existed before, but the temporary idea created a possible classic, which really made people speechless. Lu Chen, after practicing singing several times, the Heavenly Queen sister even had the urge to run to Lu Chen's place immediately and crack open his skull to see how the brain structure inside was different from that of ordinary people. With the cooperation of the two, this song, Dedication of Love, was produced in a hurry. Lu Chen first published it on his blog, and then Chen Fei also posted a new blog post. In this blog post, Chen Fei told about the birth of Dedication of Love and the process of his cooperation with Lu Chen. He hoped that with this work, more people would pay attention to and care about leukemia patients and provide support to those patients who need help. The two people, one after the other, plus a song, immediately became a new explosive point on the blog. Although it was already midnight, thousands of people still forwarded the blog posts of Lu Chen and Chen Fei, making the influence of this song, Dedication of Love, continue to expand, which in turn promoted the number of support for the charity crowdfunding project. At 7:00 the next evening, the charity crowdfunding project to help Meng Meng, leukemia patient, had been online for 24 hours, and the number of support exceeded 3 million. On the same day, the supervision representative sent by Mukin crowdfunding company had arrived at the First People's Hospital of Ningguan City, and soon determined the second recipient. That was Xiao Qingqing, who was in the same ward as Meng Meng. After receiving the news, the TV station in Ningguan City sent a reporter to conduct a live interview. The third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, on October 25, the sixth day of the charity crowdfunding project, Lu Chen's studio received an interview request from China Youth Daily for Lu Chen himself. China Youth Daily was founded in 1950 and has a history of 65 years. It is a central-level newspaper directly under the control of the Central Publicity Department. It takes promoting social progress and serving the growth of young people as its own responsibility and serves generation after generation of young people. It was precisely because of such a prominent status that China Youth Daily has always been in the top 3 in the national daily readership and popularity, and has a great influence in China. It was undoubtedly an honor to be interviewed by China Youth Daily. Without typical deeds or publicity points, it was impossible to get such an opportunity. Lu Chen attached great importance to this, and was even a little nervous. The process of the interview was not as serious as Lu Chen imagined. The two reporters sent by China Youth Daily were not very old, and they had a good understanding of him. The reporters' interview was completed in a very harmonious atmosphere. There were 3 main reasons why Lu Chen could attract the attention of this major central newspaper. The first was Lu Chen's talent in music creation. The reporter's focus was not on his debut album, You Who Sat Next to Me, but the already well-known song, I Love You China. Since Lu Chen sang this song at the National Day Party of Beijing television, it quickly spread all over the country. It was covered by many themed singers and appeared in many non-commercial party programs. It could be said that it was very popular. China Youth Daily asked Lu Chen about his creative motivation and inspiration. The second was the sulfuric acid incident in which Lu Chen bravely saved Tian, and the last was the charity crowdfunding project. Although it was the first time that he had been interviewed by such a big official media, Lu Chen, who had 3 life memories, quickly adapted. He was neither overbearing nor servile, and cooperated with the reporter to complete the interview. His maturity and experience made the 2 reporters from China Youth Daily look at him in a new light. On October 27, China Youth Daily published an interview article with Lu Chen on the 4th page with the title, New Era New Youth, as the main title. This article first briefly introduced Lu Chen's identity, and then focused on Lu Chen's deeds, praising him as a representative of the new youth in the new era and a model of newcomers in the entertainment industry. The article wrote that in today's entertainment industry, celebrity artists have endless scandals, and their image in the eyes of the public is constantly declining. They need talented, knowledgeable, and moral newcomers like Lu Qin to provide positive energy. This central newspaper's evaluation of Lu Qin was undoubtedly very high, which was equivalent to giving Lu Qin a layer of gold. Although the article was only a few hundred words, it could not bring direct economic benefits to Lu Qin, nor would it help Lu Qin increase many fans. Its impact on Lu Qin's position in the circle was limited. However, this article represented the mainstream official recognition of Lu Qin. Its publicity effect could not be bought with any amount of money, and to a great extent, it would affect Lu Qin's future development in more aspects. As the saying goes, a flower planted intentionally does not bloom, but a willow planted unintentionally becomes a shade. This was what Lu Qin did not foresee when he was determined to help Meng Meng. What made Lu Qin even more surprised was that after the interview by China Youth Daily, another great god was alarmed. A representative was sent to discuss with him. This great god was the Yanhuang Charity Association. Chapter 217. The charity crowdfunding project to help Meng Meng, leukemia patient, ended on the 26th. A total of 4.7 million plus charity funds were raised. Because of the differences in individual diseases, it was expected to help 12 leukemia patients, including Meng Meng, who were in urgent need of help. Mukin crowdfunding company was responsible for the specific fund arrangement, management and supervision, account disclosure and other issues. Lu Qin no longer asked. And Yanhuang Charity Association sent a representative to find him, which had little to do with this project. The Charity Association came for dedication of love. Yanhuang Charity Association was established in 1990. It was a national nonprofit public welfare social organization voluntarily participated by citizens, legal persons, and other social organizations who were enthusiastic about philanthropy. It has more than 500 member units in China. Compared with the Red Cross Society, Yanhuang Charity Association had a better reputation among the people. The representative sent by this charity was surnamed Suan, director of the Charity Association's External Liaison Department. Ms. Suan, who was in her 40s, had a kind face, a soft voice, and a very cultured speech. On behalf of Yanhuang Charity Association, she hoped to get a non-commercial license for the song, Dedication of Love, from Lu Qin for the promotion and public service advertisements of the Charity Association. Lu Qin agreed without any hesitation. He never thought about making money with this song. Whether it was the Charity Association or the Red Cross Society, as long as they were willing to use it, they could use it freely without paying any fees. Yanhuang Charity Association, in addition to seeking the license for Dedication of Love, also hoped that Lu Qin could participate in the shooting of a public service advertisement. This public service advertisement would use Dedication of Love as the core theme and invite a number of stars to participate and sing together, including Li Xing, Tan Hong, Chen Fei, Lu Zhonghan, Shi Rong, and other big figures. Including Lu Qin, there were currently 12 confirmed. To put it bluntly, in the invitation list provided by Suan, any one of them had more fame and status than Lu Qin. If he wasn't the original creator of Dedication of Love, he probably wouldn't be in the list at all. Suan also vaguely revealed that this also had something to do with Lu Qin's interview with China Youth Daily just now. And this was, of course, a good thing. Lu Qin couldn't think of a reason for his refusal at all, so he finalized it on the spot. According to what my sister said, the more reputation I have, the better. However, the filming of the Dedication of Love public service film couldn't start immediately. For a huge organization like the Yanhuang Charity Association, the preparatory work would definitely take a lot of time. However, Lu Qin's participation was already set in stone. Therefore, after the meeting with Suan, Lu Qin quickly put this matter to the back of his mind. Anyway, someone would naturally inform him when the time came, and as an independent artist, he was very free to arrange his time. At present, what Lu Qin was most concerned about was the debut album, Not Yet Lovers, released by Flying Stone Records' MSN Beautiful Girl. In this new album, Lu Qin wrote 3 songs, including the title track, Not Yet Lovers. He was also in charge of supervising the production and acted in the music video of Not Yet Lovers. On the last day of October, as a warm-up for MSN's debut album, the music video and single of Not Yet Lovers began large-scale publicity on major TV stations, radio stations, and the internet. As the first girl group launched by Flying Stone Records in recent years, the company had high hopes for MSN's album. The cost of inviting Lu Qin to write and supervise the production alone exceeded 1 million yuan. Naturally, they would not drop the ball in the important publicity. It was said that Flying Stone Records had a publicity budget of up to 5 million yuan. Therefore, it brought a lot of pressure to Lu Qin. The 3 works he wrote for MSN, including the title track, Not Yet Lovers, were all selected excellent works, but it was actually difficult to accurately grasp the popular trend of the market and the tastes and preferences of fans. Some songs were obviously very good, but they just couldn't get up, while some catchy songs could be popular all over the country. Although Lu Qin was very confident, Flying Stone Records had spent tens of millions on SN's album. Once it failed, it would have a great impact on him. After all, the price of one of his works was as high as 350,000 to 400,000 yuan, which was completely at the top level. If the top price didn't achieve the desired effect, the reputation accumulated before would be severely damaged. Lu Qin's rise was so fast that it was unknown how many people in the circle were envious and jealous. Naturally, there were many people who wanted to see him make a fool of himself. And these words were told to Lu Qin by Qin Fei. Time entered November, and autumn was getting stronger. After returning to Beijing from Hangzhou, Lu Qin met Qin Fei for the first time in a Western restaurant in Beijing. This restaurant was very famous and had the qualification of a Michelin restaurant. Usually, it was impossible to book a seat. But for Qin Fei, this was obviously not a problem. On the surface, the meeting between Lu Qin and Qin Fei was to discuss the latter's new album, but both of them knew very well that this was actually a real date. It was just that no one had the intention to point it out. I'm reminding you, don't get carried away. After eating the dessert after the meal, a small cream cake, Qin Fei said to Lu Qin very seriously, many newcomers in the circle were carried too high all of a sudden, and then fell very badly and heavily. Lu Qin nodded. Recently, he had really been in the limelight. First, he saved people and punished criminals in Hangzhou, then he engaged in charity crowdfunding, and then he was interviewed by China Youth Daily. Any newcomer, as long as he had one of these, would inevitably be able to brush his face in front of the public. Lu Qin had been in the limelight 3 times, and it could be said that he had gained both fame and fortune. So far, the number of fans on his Waves blog has officially exceeded the 10 million mark. The surge in fame brought real benefits. First of all, Whale TV was negotiating with Lu Shi to re-sign a contract with Lu Qin. Lu Qin's cooperation with Whale TV began half a year ago. The contract signed by the 2 sides was for 2 years. In addition to the reward income, there was an additional 500,000 signing fee every year. At that time, both parties were satisfied with the contract, but now it was no longer appropriate. Because the contract was no longer worthy of Lu Qin's fame and value. It wasn't that Lu Qin took the initiative to break the contract, but Whale TV felt that it was necessary to re-sign the contract. Lu Qin started with Whale TV and became famous through Singing China. Although Whale TV gave him good treatment, the returns that Lu Qin brought to Whale TV were also amazing. Not to mention the popularity of Lu Fei's live broadcast room, his successful experience alone has allowed Whale TV to attract a lot of excellent anchor talents, and the number of registered members has been rising steadily. Although Whale TV could pretend to be deaf and dumb and wait for Lu Qin to complete the 2-year contract, in this way, the possibility of Lu Qin renewing the contract is almost impossible. The most important thing is that this contract has already been exposed, making Whale TV very passive. 500,000 signing fee. This joke is a bit big. Therefore, in order to better cooperate between the two sides in the future, and in order to retain the golden signboard of Lu Qin, Whale TV offered a new contract to Lu Qin Studio. At present, Lu Xi is negotiating with Whale TV on behalf of Lu Qin, and it is estimated that the signing fee is at least 3 million. Lu Qin also intends to continue to cooperate with Whale TV for a period of time, but he will not give up the benefits he should get. In addition to Whale TV, there are a lot of people who want to sign endorsement contracts with Lu Qin, including several famous domestic and foreign brands. In addition, there are many performers and agencies who have come to the door, making Lu Xi very busy. As for other kinds of invitations, it is even more innumerable. The entertainment industry is a big Vanity Fair. Many artists who become famous overnight are easy to fall into the vortex of vanity and interests and are unable to extricate themselves. They gradually lose their original heart, and as a result, there are frequent scandals that lead to the destruction of their future. Chen Fei doesn't want Lu Qin to become one of them. She deeply understands how complicated the entertainment industry is. Fortunately, Lu Qin is an independent artist. If he is in a large entertainment agency, he doesn't know how many open and secret arrows he will have to face. Regarding Chen Fei's kind reminder, Lu Qin nodded and said, "I know, Sister Fei." To be honest, he has been a little complacent recently. Fortunately, there are always good teachers and helpful friends around him. While answering, Lu Qin stretched out his hand and wiped the remaining cream on the corner of Chen Fei's mouth. Chen Fei suddenly froze, and her pretty face instantly flushed. In an instant, her beauty was indescribable. She didn't expect Lu Qin to be so bold. Lu Qin himself didn't expect it either. It's just that his fingers caressed the skin. That kind of soft jade-like feeling made his courage soar. Lu Qin's hand fell and pressed on Chen Fei's small hand. He looked at the other party, his eyes bright. Chen Fei's eyes widened at first, and then under the gaze of Lu Qin, she shyly lowered her head. After a while, she probably came back to her senses and raised her head again to stare at Lu Qin. As if to say, "You're too bold." Lu Qin didn't want to let go and said bluntly, "Sister Fei, I like you." He wasn't a novice in love, and he didn't want to continue to hide his feelings for Chen Fei, so he simply took this opportunity to directly confess. Chen Fei's face blushed again, but she was after all not a teenage girl. Instead, she sighed softly and said, "Lu Qin, can you let me think about it?" She didn't deny that she also had a good impression of Lu Qin, but she really wasn't ready to start a relationship with a younger brother. Lu Qin nodded and retracted his hand. "Okay." Chen Fei felt a little guilty. She held Lu Qin's big hand and said softly, "Thank you." Lu Qin didn't retract his hand. The two of them didn't say anything, but there was a kind of warmth flowing silently between them. The night outside the window also seemed to be a lot gentler. Chapter 218. At night, on the lakeside of Hohai, the flow of people was like a tide. In the vast sea of people, Lu Qin and Chen Fei walked side by side, bathed in the cool evening breeze and strolled along the lakeside. Both of them were properly dressed, especially Chen Fei, who was completely different from her usual image, so none of the pedestrians and tourists who hurried past could recognize her. For star artists, it was really not easy to be able to walk and go shopping like ordinary people. There were many couples on the lakeside, either holding hands, or sitting in each other's arms on the grass or benches. The air seemed to be filled with a sweet smell. In contrast, Lu Chen and Chen Fei, who kept a distance of half a foot, seemed a bit out of the ordinary. Chen Fei, didn't speak and seemed to be thinking about something. Lu Chen wanted to find something to talk about, but he didn't know what to say. After all, in the restaurant before, he took the initiative to confess to the Heavenly Queen next to him, and he was still a little nervous. Just then, Chen Fei, suddenly stopped. She stood in front of an advertising screen. This kind of LED advertising screen with a width of about 2 meters was very common in parks and commercial areas. It mainly played daily life information, such as traffic, weather, etc., and commercial and public service advertisements. The advertising screen standing on the edge of the lakeside boulevard had just switched. The brightly colored screen showed the picture of 3 beautiful girls, who were wearing white school uniforms and snuggling up to each other, showing a sweet smile to everyone. In the middle of the picture, an eye-catching title was outlined in oil painting strokes, MSN. Not Yet Lovers. This was the first music video of the girl group of Flying Stone Records, MSN Beautiful Girls, and also the promotional film for their debut album. Since the day before yesterday, they have been the first to land in various media in Beijing and launched a huge warm-up campaign. Their singing floated out from the speakers hidden in the pillars of the advertising screen and into people's ears. Why can I only talk to you all night? Why do I want to see you again after saying goodbye? Among my friends, you are the most special. You always make me feel very close and close. Why do you care about who goes shopping with me? Why do you worry about who flirts with me? You say you treat me a little more than others, but you don't say how much more. We're more than friends, but we're not yet lovers. We're so sweet, but we're annoyed. We're so happy and confused. What will we become in the future? I can't wait to know the answer. The sound effects of the speaker attached to the advertising screen were very ordinary. In jargon, it was just a sound. However, the beautiful melody, the sweet voice with a little sadness, and the exquisite and beautiful picture made many passers-by and Chen Fei stop to listen and watch the music video of Not Yet Lovers. In the scene, the 3 girls were studying, living, running, and playing on campus. Then, the female lead, Mu Xiaochu, bumped into the senior, Lu Chen, and a hazy pure love unfolded. Fang Hui, the director of the music video, handled the picture very carefully. The constantly changing scenes made people feel as if they had returned to the campus of their youth. She showed the subtle feelings between the hero and the heroine just right. In particular, the heroine's pursuit and longing for a beautiful love made people's hearts beat faster. Lu Chen was fine. As the male lead, he had watched it several times. But Chen Fei was fascinated. For some reason, Lu Chen, who was standing next to Chen Fei, seemed to feel the throbbing of the Heavenly Queen's heart. Lu Chen couldn't help but reach out and hold her hand. Chen Fei's hand was a little cold. Her fingers, which were like spring onions, were evenly distributed and delicate like jade. When Lu Chen held her hand couldn't help but tremble, but she didn't break free. The two finished watching the video together. At the end of the music video, it was a shot of Lu Chen and Mu Xiaochu gazing at each other affectionately. Mu Xiaochu's innocence and cuteness, and Lu Chen's handsomeness were fully displayed in this shot. Chen Fei blinked and said, "Let's go." The two continued to move forward, but they didn't let go of each other's hands. As they walked, Chen Fei suddenly asked, "This music video is good. Do you keep in touch with Xiaochu often?" She turned her head and looked at Lu Chen. Her eyes, which were hidden behind her glasses, were shining like bright stars. Lu Chen said, "Rarely. I think of her as a younger sister." Chen Fei bit her lip and said, "You know what? In fact, I'm 28 years old this year." In order to make my debut in advance, my agent helped me change my household registration and lied about my age. Lu Chen, what? Chen Fei was ashamed and annoyed. If I had known, I wouldn't have told you. Only a few people know about this. She tried hard to break free from Lu Chen's hand. Sister Fei, I was wrong. Lu Chen quickly grabbed her hand, stopped, stared at her and said, in fact, I don't think age is a problem. Whether you are 30 or 28, I like you all the same. Lu Chen's eyes were gentle and sincere. He knew that Chen Fei had a knot in her heart about the issue of age. After all, there was a gap between them. But he had never thought that age would be a problem. And Lu Chen also knew that Chen Fei had never been afraid to talk about her age. She took the initiative to tell him this secret, which was undoubtedly a sign of trust, and, now that the relationship between the two sides had finally broken through, Lu Chen didn't want to let go and go back to the past. He really liked Chen Fei. Chen Fei struggled a few times to no avail, and her pretty face blushed with shyness. There was a trace of softness in her eyes, and she said, "You make it sound nice. I'm an old woman. If I say I like you now, I may regret it in the future." Lu Chen smiled bitterly. How can you be an old woman? Then what do I have to do to make you believe me, Sister Fei? To be honest, no one would doubt Chen Fei if she said she was 22 years old, let alone 30 or 28 years old. In the eyes of many fans, Chen Fei, who had been in the entertainment industry for more than 10 years, was an ageless girl. Lu Chen thought, is Chen Fei jealous of Mu Xiaochu? This thought actually made him a little complacent, and he was even more unwilling to let go. Narcissistic plus shameful. Chen Fei gave up struggling, thought seriously for a moment, and said, "Let go of me first, let's take it slowly." After all, she was not a teenage girl, and she would not be easily moved by sweet words. Even if her heartstrings were touched, she was still reserved and refused to completely open her heart. Lu Chen said, "Okay then." He reluctantly let go of Chen Fei's hand, as if he was a child who had lost his favorite toy. Of course, he deliberately put on an act. Chen Fei couldn't help but laugh, and reached out to hold Lu Chen's arm. "Let's go." Lu Chen asked, "Where are we going?" Chen Fei tilted her head and said, "This place is very close to the bar pedestrian street, right? Let's go to Forget Worries bar." Lu Chen, Chen Fei glanced at him. "Can't I?" Lu Chen said with a smile, "Of course, there's no problem. I'll buy you a cup of burning, which is David's signature." Chen Fei nodded and said, "If there is no one else in the future, don't call me Sister Fei anymore." Lu Chen was stunned, and then immediately smiled and said, "Got it, Fei." Chen Fei bit her lip and also smiled. Although it was not directly said, both of them knew that their relationship had broken through. They could never go back to the past. When they arrived at Forget Grass Bar, it was already 9 o'clock in the evening. Although it was not a weekend, Forget Grass Bar's business was still very hot. There were basically no seats on the ground floor, and even the front of the bar was surrounded by many customers. Everyone drank, chatted, and listened to the singer on the stage. It was still the atmosphere that Lu Chen was familiar with. He squeezed to the front of the bar with Chen Fei and said to David, who was so busy that his feet didn't touch the ground, "Brother David, give me 2 cups of burning." David glanced at Lu Chen and was stunned. This guy looked a bit familiar, and his voice was even more familiar. OMG. He quickly recognized Lu Chen. "Lu Chen, why are you here?" "Ha ha ha." This fake foreigner laughed and said loudly to the customers in the bar, "Let me tell you a piece of good news. Our boss Xiao Lu, Lu Chen is here, everyone welcome him." Lu Chen owned 5% of Forget Grass Bar's shares, which was also his last tie with Forget Grass Bar. Speaking of which, Lu Chen had not been back for a long time. Lu Chin. Hearing David's shout, the customers present couldn't help but reveal a surprised smile and stood up one after another. I haven't been here for a long time. What day is it today? What kind of wind is blowing? Lu Chin, we all miss you very much. Sing a song, a new song. Lu Chin quickly turned around and waved his hand. Hello everyone, long time no see. The customers in Forget Grass Bar were all of high quality, whether it was old customers or new customers. Many of them greeted Lu Chin in a friendly manner. There were not many onlookers, only a few customers came over to ask for autographs and photos. He satisfied the requests of these customers. The current Lu Chin was already a legendary figure in Forget Grass Bar and Hohai Circle. But no one knew that the woman wearing a long dress beside Lu Chin was the real superstar. Only David looked at Chin Fei, and carefully asked, Lu Chin, this beautiful lady isn't also your sister, right? The last time Lu Chin brought Lu Shi to Forget Grass Bar for the first time, David ended up treating her as Lu Chin's girlfriend. He still remembered the lesson. Lu Chin smiled and said, this is also my sister. David couldn't help but roll his eyes. May I ask Mr. Lu Chin, how many sisters do you have? He chatted with Lu Chin while skillfully mixing a cup of burning and delivered it in front of Chin Fei. Beautiful and charming lady, please allow me to treat you to a cup of burning that I personally made. Saying that, he even pressed his left hand on his chest and made an elegant gentleman's bow. Chin Fei smiled and said, thank you. She took a sip of the wine and glanced at Lu Chin at the same time with a smile. As if saying, he is much better at coaxing women than you. Lu Chin smiled bitterly. The Bionics had signed a contract with Light Rain Media and were now doing very well. Needless to say, Li Hong, Yi Zhenyang and Wang Xiaoshui had already left. It was normal for a bar to have an iron camp and a flowing stream of soldiers. But now, the singers backstage basically knew Lu Chin and Lu Chen's identity. Seeing Lu Chin and Chin Fei come in, they all stood up. Hello, Brother Chin. These singers obviously knew that Lu Chin came to Forget Worries Bar at night, so they were pleasantly surprised but not surprised. Lu Chin smiled in response and then said, I'll be up next, I'll be collaborating with a friend. Hearing Lu Chin's words, some of the singers were surprised and some were very happy. One of the female singers smiled and said, I've long heard of your name. We're really lucky tonight. She even looked at Chin Fei with envy and jealousy. In Hohai Circle, Lu Chin had long been a dreamlike story. Apart from Lu Chen's own career development, there are the Wandering Band, Sister Na, and the North Needle Band, which has just released a single not long ago, that has been held up by his hands alone. These people were the same as them, they were originally in Hohai. Now that they had soared, how could they not be envious? She also regarded Chin Fei as one of her peers, the very lucky kind. After a few minutes, the singer in front finished singing and Lu Chin and Chin Fei went on stage. He asked the waiter to push the piano out. Seeing this scene, the guests in the bar suddenly became excited. Lu Chin was going to sing. Today, Lu Chin was no longer the small singer in the bar. The number of times he came to Forget Worries Bar was getting fewer and fewer, so many old customers could only reminisce about the time when he played and sang on stage and bragged to his new companions. Today, it was a surprise for Lu Chin to appear here, but it was exciting for him to go on stage. Would Lu Chin come out with a new work tonight? One must know that Lu Chin had sung many original works in Forget Worries Bar. To be able to listen to Hatsune's new song was really a wonderful thing that was worth reminiscing about. Of course, although they were excited, everyone was still very polite and didn't make a racket. Instead, the bar became quiet. This was the reason why Lu Chin was willing to bring Chin Fei to Forget Worries Bar. It didn't matter much if he was recognized. Forget Worries Bar had also invited singers and artists in the circle to perform. He sat down in front of the piano and said to the microphone that had just been set up, "Everyone, long time no see." There was a sudden burst of boos in the bar. "You still have the nerve to say that?" Then they all laughed. Luchin also laughed. "I know I rarely come here now, so tonight I decided to make it up to everyone. I specially invited a friend to cooperate with me on a new song." It really was a new song. There was immediately a warm applause in the bar. Luchin got up and bowed to thank everyone, then made a gesture of invitation to Chen Feier. Chen Feier smiled sweetly and stood in the center of the stage, in front of the microphone. "Who is this?" Everyone looked at each other. No one immediately recognized Chen Feier, who was wearing glasses and had a makeup. Only a few people faintly felt that she was a little familiar. Of course, since she was Lu Chen's friend, everyone still gave her face and also applauded to show their welcome. Chen Feier said softly, "Thank you." She nodded at Lu Chen, indicating that they could start. Lu Chen sat down again and played the prelude. The pure piano accompaniment was very pleasant to listen to. At the beginning, it caught everyone's ears and made everyone silent. Lu Chen's piano level was very ordinary, but compared to before, after a period of practice, playing a relatively simple song was not a problem at all. The song was not complicated, but it was very fresh for the regular customers in the bar. In the past, when they saw Lu Chen, he was always playing the guitar. But soon, everyone's attention was all attracted by Chen Feier. Because she began to sing. "There are not too many people who want to see you but are still waiting. It is heartbreaking, broken into a river, walking forward alone in the vicissitudes of life, saying to live well, but no matter how busy I am, I can't quench the thirst of love. When I meet you, I don't say it's worth it, not worth it. When I brush shoulders, I help each other, being a passerby, walking forward alone in the vicissitudes of life, saying to live well, but no matter how busy I am, I can't quench the thirst of love. Humming your song across the mountains and seas, riding the waves and sailing, forgetting you and forgetting me. From then on, the river is only a legend, heaven and earth melted, stars swallowed. Humming your song across the mountains and seas, riding the waves and sailing, forgetting you and forgetting me. From then on, the river is only a legend, heaven and earth melted, stars swallowed." The name of this song was Sea of Faces. Chen Feier sang it drunkenly and sang it a little carelessly, but her singing skills were impeccable, calm and not ostentatious. The poetic lyrics were sung leisurely, like the sounds of nature. It was a simple accompaniment and a simple singing, but it was like a clear spring that nourished one's heart. Inadvertently, one's impetuosity was washed away, and one's whole body relaxed, immersed in the artistic conception created by the singing. The bar was quiet, no one spoke or walked around, and all eyes fell on Chen Feier. Chen Feier sang very self-consciously and emotionally. Lu Chen wrote 3 songs for her, and the one that resonated with her the most was Woman Flower. But her favorite was Sea of Faces. Perhaps from an artistic point of view, Sea of Faces was not as good as Woman Flower and did not have the potential to become a classic, but she liked it. When Chen Feier sang, humming your song across the mountains and seas, she couldn't help but look back at Lu Chen. Her eyes were gentle. This was not the first time she cooperated with Lu Chen, but it was the first time she sang this song in public. She just wanted to sing it, here, at this time. Tenderness is sung by you, you are faintly seen on the other side. Build a boat in the wind and never look back even if you want to conquer only the desert. Cherishing is the rarest, loving you makes life vast. Tenderness is sung by me, accompanying you in the sea of faces without stopping. Humming your song across the mountains and seas, treading on the waves and sailing, forgetting you and forgetting me. From then on, the river is just a legend, heaven and earth melted, stars swallowed. At the climax of the chorus, Chen Feier's voice was a little higher, and the characteristics of her voice were vividly displayed. The feelings contained in the song also became stronger. Finally, someone heard it. It's a bit like Chen Feier. Not just a bit, but the more they looked, the more similar they looked. After being reminded, everyone had a feeling of enlightenment. When Chin Feier sang for the second time, many people couldn't sit still. There was even a small commotion in the bar. Chin Feier smiled and took off the glasses that covered her face. She felt so good. Then let's give everyone a surprise. There was no need to hide anymore. It was really a surprise. In the Forget Grass bar, it was as if a heavy bomb had exploded silently. Many people couldn't believe their eyes. The person who sang in front of them was actually Chin Feier. Some people stood up and hurriedly sat back down, their faces flushed. Some girls opened their eyes wide and covered their mouths, and some secretly took out their mobile phones to take photos. But more people were still seriously enjoying the song. Because it was not easy to get, so they had to cherish it. Note: Sea of Faces lyricist, Heng Chu/composer, Yen Chi. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.